Hey everybody, you are tuning into the Canary Cry News Talk live stream PreStream. Congratulations for being here a little bit early, and a big congratulations to Andrea Garcia for First Comment of the Day award. Andrea, I think. Garcia. Andrea, something. Thank you for coming in early, getting the first comment of the day. Congratulations, your trophy is in the mail. And for the rest of you, I'm glad you're here also. We got a great show for you today. And but as usual, I want to remind everybody to follow us on multiple platforms. Follow us over on youtube.com/Canary Cry Radio, twitch.tv/Canary Cry Radio. Follow us on the podcast applications. You're gonna need to do that someday, so you might as well do it now. And if you're coming in early, please go ahead and hit that like button for us. It goes a long way to convince the algorithms to share the show. All right, everybody, stay hydrated, and let's get going.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is March 10th, 2021. This is episode 310. 310 on 310. Oh my gosh. And today, Dog Eat Dog Star. That's right. And I didn't bite Biden's dog, but I am your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz. Welcome to the podcast where we praise Jesus while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events, especially concerning dogs.
Like you're throwing a little sauce on it now. That's nice.
Well, I'm starting to get used to saying it, so it's it was kind of hard for a while. There's a lot of words that rhyme but aren't easy to say. So,
yeah, it's kind of fun, you know. I think I got into the throwing in little slogans or little repetitive show by show. I don't even know what to call it. I don't know. I repeat a lot of stuff, so it comes naturally. It's fun to get you in on the train, though.
Oh, yay, the train.
Doing it. Oh, I forgot. Gonz hates trains ever since the accident.
Yeah, not into it. Okay. Well, just a quick reminder for all of you watching live.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
Or not watching live, or listening later. It helps us out.
Yeah, you know what? It's not very often we give credit to the listen later people. You know, we're always giving so much attention to the live people, but those who are not watching live, we see you, we hear you, we still love you. You're valid. This is a safe space for you.
Are there only 6 people in Twitch right now?
I don't know.
That would be pretty low for...
That would be outrageously low. No, it's more than 6, but it is still outrageously low. Only 23 people over there. Strange. Yeah, you know, I think the shadow banning continues. You know, I don't even like that term shadow banning anymore. It's kind of played out. It's kind of like, I don't know. So many people claim shadow banning that I kind of start rolling my eyes and they're starting to hurt. Not that it's not a real thing. It is a real thing. Happens to real people. But I don't know. We got to think of a better name. I don't know if we need to do it live on the air here, but
I don't know if it's that or if we're just very uninteresting.
If we're just bad at it.
Yeah,
now.
we're just really bad podcasters.
A bad podcast. Overnight, people just leave.
Definitely not as exciting as it was at the beginning of the year with all the insurrection and all that.
It's a different time.
I was going to say something to mention because, you know, we spend a lot of time putting together these episodes, and I've noticed that there aren't a lot of news stories. There, you know, obviously the Orange Man bad thing, they don't have it anymore. So it's
Right.
either like going back to previous things during the Trump administration, bringing it up to bash on it, or they're bringing up stories that we covered like 6 months ago, and they're a lot of it from overseas, and they're just rehashing it here in America. So it's something I've noticed as a trend in the last couple weeks, especially where I go through the list of new news items that are, that comes across our little feeder. And most of it is stuff we've covered already. And I'm like, wow, they're really just they're doing the cycle. They're regurgitating all the stuff that most of our audience already knows about, or at least, if you've been with us for a while, saw or heard us report it months ago. So very interesting. They're running out of things to talk about, apparently.
Yeah, well, it's a mixture, of course. Earlier this year and late last year, the amount of layoffs going on in the news industry was just astronomical. They cleared out, forget the number, it was something insane, like a third of all newsroom employees.
33%.
Got laid off in the past few months. So, you've got less reporters, less people working at mainstream news outlets. And no Trump to complain about, like you said. That's why they keep having to report on Biden's dog, because there's really not a whole lot of other attention-grabbing things going on. But yeah, you're right. It's getting harder to do the show because most of the news stories coming out are repeats. And from overseas, a lot of our, robotics stories or technocracy stories, things like that, things we covered 6 to 9 months ago are getting reposted on mainstream American news channels like yesterday. It's very strange.
Yeah.
And that's why you're here, because you're ahead of the game, folks. Canary Cry news talkers.
That's why when I find stories that I think are new and then Basil knocks them down, especially flippy updates. When I find something, I'm like, oh, pretty cool. And you're like, that's old news.
Old news, bro.
Yeah, I get really upset.
I know.
Which brings us to our flippy
it's
update.
So scary. Wait. Before we get into the story, we do need to mention the information. Oh, man, I didn't pull it up beforehand. Rookie mistake. The Dallas, Texas Canary Cry meetup in person is happening later this month. So we have just a wealth, and I choose that word on purpose, a wealth of Texas listeners. We love our Texas listeners here. So while I continue to stall, while I try to find the information for the meetup, oh my gosh, producer Ciara just sent it to us, and I've lost it. But producer Ciara will be holding an in-person Canary Cry meetup for Texas listeners in Dallas, or near Dallas, rather. So if you're in Texas and you are within traveling distance of Dallas, this is going to be great. Gons, you got to stall for a second. I got to find this info.
Over in fellowship tonight.
And he stepped on it. Do you remember that ISO?
Yeah.
It's very apropos. You can go to your friends, especially if they're bros, and ask them this.
Let's invite some dudes over in fellowship tonight.
Right there in Dallas, Texas. And there will be females there too. Males and females.
Wow. What a diverse group of people. Okay, so I'm looking at an email here. Producer Ciara is saying, please just have people email me. We are meeting in Dallas. Otherwise, they can see the thread on the community. Okay, so here's the email. If you want the info on the Canary Cry meetup in Dallas, Texas, or near Dallas, Texas, you are going to send an email to, and I have permission from Ciara to give this email out, Ciara Lauren 93. That's CIA.
CIA.
Oh, CIA. Oh my gosh.
We've called you.
I think Ciara's in the CIA.
We figured it out.
If you want to go to the Canary Cry intelligence gathering meetup, you can email Ciara Lauren, LAUREN 93 gmail.com. Get all the info there. Meet up with some other Canary Criers. It's going to be a blast. Now, here's the thing. Last episode of the episode before, I did mention that it would be fun if I could make it over there to Texas. And then the conversation ensued about whether I was being serious or not. I was being serious that it would be fun. Dallas, Texas is extremely far away from me, and I currently have no travel plans to be there. But, it's always possible. I'm not saying I'm not going, but I don't currently have the plane tickets purchased. That being said, what?
All you need to do is figure out the electromagnetic shielding bubble that the UFO technology is built off of, and then you just pick your point, and you can be there instantly. Didn't you know this? I thought you were working on this.
You're talking about teleportation.
No, it's not quite teleportation. It's just electromagnetism. You create your own electromagnetic bubble that is apart from the Earth's electromagnetic field.
Oh, don't tell me about electromagnetic bubbles, Gons.
And then you can travel at high speeds and with phenomenal distances and instantaneous results.
Yeah,
I thought you knew this. Come on.
I might just do that.
Yeah,
but as of now, I don't know, man. I've been looking for a reason to roam around, and there's no mask mandates in Texas. This is a great time for a meetup.
Yep.
Okay, now that is said, I think we can start the show.
Sleepy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, we are sorry, I got distracted again. Oh, no, it's already happening. Okay, folks, it's the Flippy update. Flippy, for those who are new to the show, is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a proxy conversation to discuss all the new and exciting ways that robotics and AI are taking over the world, and there's nothing we can do about it. So today, this is coming from, one of my favorite sites, robotics.news. And the headline is ESA, that's the European Space Agency, to build garbage collecting robot that cleans up space by hugging space debris and crashing. Not the catchiest headline, but let's see what they're talking about here. The European Space Agency is set to launch a $1 million mission in an attempt to lessen space debris floating in low Earth orbit. The project, named Clear Space 1, will launch an experimental 4-armed robot to low Earth orbit that will attempt to collect a piece of space debris. The mission, which is set to launch in 2025, is estimated to cost around $133 million.
Oh, 133.
Yeah. And so 4 arms. This is a quadruple Flippy.
Nice.
Four arms for the price of, well, many more than 4 arms. But let's keep going. According to the ESA, the first target of the Clear Space 1 mission is Vespa, a piece of debris that came from the ESA's Vega launcher in 2013. The Vespa only weighs around 100 kilograms, making it a perfect first mission for the project. I like to imagine that it's an actual Vespa floating around up there. Which is a type of Italian brand of scooter.
Motor scooter. Yep, I know what a Vespa is.
I was just trying to keep you posted, okay? The garbage collecting robot is designed to hug its target and then drag it as it dives into the atmosphere, which will burn up both the robot and the debris. Although the costly project can only take out 1 piece of space junk per robot, the ESA believes that this would help clear up debris from low Earth orbit and encourage other nations to start innovating ways to reduce space debris. Quote, the space debris issue is more pressing than ever before. Today, we have nearly 2,000 live satellites in space and more than 3,000 failed ones. Did you know that? 3,000 failed satellites in space. And in the coming years, or alleged space, the number of satellites will increase by an order of magnitude, with multiple mega constellations made up of hundreds or even thousands of satellites planned for low Earth orbit, said Luc Piguet, CEO of Clear Space, which is the ESA's partner on the mission. Prior to coming up with the Clear Space 1 mission, the ESA had already attempted to clean up mission attempted a cleanup mission called E-Deorbit. E-Deorbit. The mission was to remove Envisat, a defunct satellite of the ESA that weighed 8 tons. But the project was unsuccessful, even after 10 years. I had no idea that it was so difficult to get rid of this space debris. But to sum it up, this is very cute four-armed flippy going up there to space, give a piece of junk a big ol' hug, and then crashing it back into the Earth, which doesn't seem like the most efficient way to take out the garbage. But you can tell by this article, it's I think it's supposed to be more inspirational than efficacious.
Yeah, why don't they just make the arms really strong so that they throw each piece of debris down towards the Earth?
That's what I was thinking. Now, Gons, I don't know if you know this or not, but I've been watching a lot of the Marvel movies recently. And that Tony Stark, kind of a smart guy, one of the movies, he basically just puts a rocket on pretty much anything that he sees. And it seems like this four-arm flippy, instead of going up there on a suicide mission to get the junk out of the sky, yeah, you could go up there, do a little rocket action, and just throw it back at the Earth. I mean, that could be a little problematic if you have a rogue flippy robot flying around in space and throwing large pieces of junk at the Earth. It's kind of a strange idea, but better than sacrifice. I mean, look, I have a complicated relationship with robots, but this four-armed flippy, going up into space and sacrificing himself to take out the garbage. If there is any more noble a robot, I have not met him.
It's a kamikaze robot.
Yeah.
For the betterment of the all.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us more, Gons.
Yeah, that's about it.
All right. So there you go. There's your flippy update. I'll make it a little quicker there, but just so you know, if you see a four-armed robot engulfed in flames hugging a Vespa scooter enter the atmosphere, it is not an invasion. It's just the way the Europeans are taking out the garbage. You can tell this is a European project because I don't think America would go for such a kamikaze strategy.
Now, there's an image here. Obviously, it's not a real image of the ball Earth and just all the stuff floating around it. This can't be accurate. There can't be this many things out there floating around.
There's actually live trackers. There is allegedly, if you believe the tracker, there's live trackers that you can track all the space junk floating around. And it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. I mean, you think the way modern rocketry allegedly works is, they shoot the rocket up and every deployment of a rocket that they send up there leaves like big pieces of metal because they detach these boosters and they're not made to be reused, so they kind of just leave a bunch of junk up there.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see here. I've been reminded of a particular viewpoint of the geocentric Earth that we've talked about way into the past. I don't remember how many years ago. It's kind of along the same timeline as when the flat Earth stuff became popular, but I think there's a lot to that concept, regardless of what you might think the shape of the Earth is, that, Earth being the center of the universe. It's a little eccentric maybe, but based on what we've witnessed out there, allegedly, in telescopes and whatnot, seems to be the case. But, we'll get back to some of that in a moment here. In the meantime, I got a couple quick updates, and then I have one of the main stories here, the reason for the title of this episode, or partially anyway. This first one is a 666 update. 666. And this is from boingboing.net. Lovely.
Sounds legit.
Yeah. Someone's selling a, quote, haunted acoustic guitar for $666.
Classic.
Yeah, a rare possessed axe is being sold by American Vintage and Boutique Music Emporium in New Lebanon, Ohio. And it goes through all the stuff of the alleged possessed guitar here. But, yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, what's the story? Why is it possessed? You got to give us the lore.
Okay. A kid that lived on my street when I was growing up was rumored to be into devil worship, seances, Aleister Crowley, black magic, and other dark endeavors of the spirit world. Oddly, despite the youth's somewhat dweebish demeanor and Philistine penchant for putrid proclivities, he was quite popular. All the boys in the neighborhood wanted to be him, while the girls foolishly thought they could change him. That's funny. I later learned that this neophyte necromancer was born in June of 1966 and died tragically on Halloween, October 31st, 1979, when he was just 13 years old.
Wow.
His death has never been solved, but the calamitous kid was found lying on his bed with this guitar draped across him, apparently electrocuted, even though this is an acoustic guitar.
Whoa.
Years later, I ran into the defunct boy's mother, herself a propagating...
That's a strange way to describe a dead person.
He's defunct. Herself a propagating practitioner of the pagan arts. When I informed her that I was a professional guitarist, she offered me her devilish Daisy Pushin' Sons Git Fiddle. Here's how the possessed part reportedly manifests. Since I own this guitar, I've heard the strings discordantly ring out despite no one being near the guitar. Further, on 3 occasions, I put the guitar in my bedroom closet, only to find the guitar on my bed when I returned home. That would be creepy.
Oh, it's got legs.
And I live alone. The final straw occurred when I saw the guitar levitate out of the trash can I had somberly placed it in. Whoa.
Okay. Sounds like this guitar can move around on its own and just can go out and live its own life.
It's possessed. Possessed. It's got a Nephilim spirit trying to fiddle away. But there you go. Well, that's the lore.
Yeah. Of course, rock and roll and devil worship and it stems back. Are you aware of the original sort of lore about the crossroads and Robert Johnson?
Robert Johnson, yep. He was allegedly sold his soul to the devil to play the guitar like a god.
Yeah, and it even extends a little further. There were, after Robert Johnson, he was actually a fairly unknown musician during his life.
A lot of it came after his death.
But there's a lot of what's the word? Impersonators, imposters. There's like dozens of other musicians who came out claiming to be Robert Johnson. So it's kind of this Dread Pirate Roberts story. I believe the OG Robert Johnson, he was more of a blues guy. I had some cassettes of his back when I drove a car that had a cassette player. But yeah, pretty interesting and deep lore in the, of course, devil music arena. But there you go. So somebody can live their own Robert Johnson life with this haunted guitar.
Yeah, this article was written by Tom Dunn, Thom. I wonder if that's the same Tom Dunn that we know. I'm just going to click on the name just to see. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But in any case, there you go. That's our 666 update.
Okay.
And, demons and devil worship, it all kind of connects thematically to today's episode, along with the 33 update.
33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
And this story comes from newsbug.info. This is Newton County Enterprise. Woman's body dumped in Newton County identified through DNA after 33 years. And this article states, after 33 years, the Newton County's coroner's office positively identified a woman whose body was found along Beaver Creek in the Willow Slough State Fish and Wildlife Area on October 8th, 1988, as that of Jennifer Noreen Denton from Joliet, Illinois. Her body was found by a fisherman on the bank of Beaver Creek in Park Area 3 of Willow Slough. And it goes on here, but this story is interesting because it's kind of the crossroads of modern science, modern forensics, DNA analysis, and all that kind of stuff. And it happens to have the number 33 in it, which 33 years later. But it's fascinating because how much crime is being solved now, like cold cases, because of DNA analysis.
Right.
And
what was the Golden State Killer they also got based on 23andMe data?
Right. And I think that part of the interesting issue is a lot of those companies claim that they're not letting forensics people and cold case people look at some of that data, but if there's enough of a lead, they will. And there's certain companies that will, they'll allow kind of like a matching service or a scan through like once a week or once a month or something like that, because you never know when a relative might pop up genetically to the DNA of either the criminal or the deceased that can give more information. And so, and we've talked about that with all the DNA collection agency stuff, is like in retrospect and going back, people, you might think, oh, I want to find out what my heritage is. And then, you get a phone call from the FBI like, hey, did you know that you were related to this crazy murderer from 1972? And then, then you're wrapped into this whole thing that you thought you had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, and it has to all do with the EULAs, the user license agreement type things that you sign without reading them when it comes to 23andMe and any of those other genetic banks. And like 23andMe, which was just sold to a big conglomerate, nameless, faceless shell company, basically, those EULAs go out the door when the company is no longer owned by the original people. Yeah. So, you got to watch out.
Yep. So an interesting mention of the number 33. And in this next section here, I have a clip that will start with an explanation of 33 and as part of a greater explanation for this interesting story. This is usually we save the Nephilim updates till the end. This is a quasi-Nephilim update, but it's also a biblical thing. It's a people don't read their Bible type of story. It's also a Days of Noah thing. I'm just going to play a couple of the jingles to get us into it here.
Nephilim update, Nephilim update, Nephilim update.
People don't even read their Bible, for heaven's sakes.
Now, because of the slow news, stuff like this goes viral. Have you seen this clip of, I don't know who this guy is, somebody on TikTok?
Yeah, I did.
Talking about Jesus being racist? Here's the clip.
Did you know that there's a part of the Gospel of Mark where Jesus uses a racial slur? In Mark chapter 7, there's the account of the Syrophoenician woman, a woman who is Syrian.
First off, what's up with this music? Is this like...
You know what? There's something about this guy. I mean, this whole video, but there's something about this guy. I was watching it. Look, it's something about him. I don't know. I don't want to be mean for no reason, but it's pretty hard
but
to
let
watch.
me be mean for no reason. Or you just...
No, I'm going to not do it, but it's triggering. He's got a triggering affect.
Is it cringy?
I think it
There's
does
a cringy
technically
element.
qualify as cringe, yeah.
And I think part of it, too, is not just the music, but like the face zoom. The fast cut face zoom that's really popular right now.
Yeah.
It's just weird how they just, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't need to get that close to your face to hear you talk about this.
We're so old, Guns.
I know.
Mark chapter 7, there's the account of the Syrophoenician woman, a woman who is Syrian and Greek, both of which there were strong biases against within the Jewish community. And she comes to ask Jesus to heal her daughter who's possessed by a demon. And what is Jesus' response? He says, it's not good for me to give the children's food, meaning the children of Israel's food, to dogs. He calls her a dog. What's amazing about this account is that the woman doesn't back down. She speaks truth to power. She confronts Jesus and says, well, you can think that about me, but even dogs deserve the crumbs from the table. Her boldness and bravery to speak truth to power actually changed.
Oops, what happened? Oh no. Sorry, I think I just clicked off of it.
Oh no.
Here we go. Sorry.
What's amazing about this account is that the woman doesn't back down. She speaks truth to power. She confronts Jesus and says, well, you can think that about me, but even dogs deserve the crumbs from the table. Her boldness and bravery to speak truth to power actually changes Jesus' mind. Jesus repents of his racism and extends healing to this woman's daughter. I love this story because it's a reminder that Jesus is human. He had prejudices and bias, and when confronted with it, he was willing to do his work. And this woman was willing to stand up and speak truth.
Jesus was a racist?
No, he just had a racist moment because he was human.
Because he's human. Okay.
Yeah. And it's of course, the video is chock full of the right language, the social justice language, speaking truth to power, things like that.
Yeah. So I wanted to dig. The first thing I noticed, obviously, this passage in it's in Mark, but it's also in Matthew. Goes. There's some stuff in here that I think for us folk who are a little bit more into all the interesting connections to all the craziness in the Bible that most people don't talk about. There's a lot here, a lot, because in the first passage here in verse 21 in Matthew chapter 15, it talks about how leaving that place, Jesus withdrew to the district of Tyre and Sidon. And this is in direct connection to the Watchers, which is Genesis 6. And the Nephilim, the ones that actually mated with the daughters of men to create a race of giants. That's what this has to do with. But also, just to get this out of the way real quick, the word for dog in this passage is the Greek Strong's 2952 kunarion, and it means little dog or a house dog or like a puppy. It's not the same dog that they use in like 2 Peter 2:2. The word dog is kuon, and that actually means like scavenger, a canine or a spiritual predator who feeds off others. So there's a negative connotation to that use of dog. This one that Jesus used here, at least translated into the Greek, is not the same dog. Yeah, more like puppy, right?
Yeah, like it's not like like you're saying. It's barely derogatory. Of course, you always have to consider people putting their own cultural bias and reading it with the 21st century mindset. But this is more like calling somebody like a cute little puppy,
right?
And he very specifically says that it's a racial slur, and it's. Who knows? Maybe the lady didn't like being called a little puppy, but it's not necessarily a racial slur.
No. But I think the deeper, more sort of esoteric undercurrent of this whole thing has to do with her being a Canaanite woman, Jesus being in Tyre and Sidon. There's a lot of history there. And to sort of explain some of it, and then I'll summarize it, I clipped David Flynn, the late David Flynn, who in 2008 had a lecture that talked about Cydonia, which is a fantastic book, great research done on it. And I have a copy of it over here. I'm not going to pull it up. It's kind of a big book. But he talks about the connection. He starts off with the number 33. I edited a clip here. It's a couple minutes long. And he brings up Sirius. Mm-hmm. And Sirius, the reason why we bring up Sirius is because of the fact that it had to do with Phoenicia, which Phoenicia has to do with Tyre and Sidon. So I'll let him do the talking here.
This is a hierarchy of the illuminated elite. This is just basically what you see for Freemasons. That it's not secret. You can go find out what their hierarchy is, but the symbology is something that's not understood. They don't, explain exactly what's going on with it. But what you'll notice is the ranking system ends at the highest point, 33, and in every single instance, it's always associated with a phoenix. And there's this little triangle over the phoenix's head with 33 written in. That's the highest place you can actually ascend to in ranking in the hierarchy of the illuminated elite. Well, a phoenix, because that's what this is, it really is a phoenix, it's not just an eagle, has its origin etymologically from the word Phoenicia. Phoenix and Phoenicia actually mean burning bread color. Phonica actually means redness. And the Phoenicians were called that by the Greeks. In some of the versions of why they came up with that name, well, the Greeks, they traded with the Phoenicians and they saw that they were really sunburned from hanging out in the ocean all the time, and that doesn't make much sense. The Phoenicians didn't call themselves Phoenicians, they called themselves Sidonians. And they existed between the highest reach of 33 and the lowest. There's Phoenicia right here. Here's Mount Hermon, a central point in Phoenicia.
People in the chat asking if it's sped up. It is slightly sped up, so just to kind of get through it quicker.
Yeah, Gons is one of these crazy fast listeners.
I know. I should have made it normal speed. I apologize for that, but I think the point gets across here. So far he's talking about obviously Phoenicia being in connection to the 33 and the Phoenix, and the prime meridian lines, the land of Phoenicia being between the two 33-degree points, and also, let me just play it.
In Phoenicia. And you can see that the actual map that the Knights Templar would have used during the Crusades is that 33 on their meridian, which is in Paris, so that's their zero meridian, would put 33 perfectly through Phoenicia. In fact, really close to Jerusalem itself. So then, of course, 33 in latitude crosses longitude at that place. And it's the only one. Yes, the difference between the Greenwich meridian and the Paris meridian. And you can see here, that's where Mount Hermon is. Then I'm focusing on Mount Hermon because it's from the center of Mount Hermon that Enoch says an extraterrestrial invasion occurred that started civilization up to begin with. And it's also known in the Bible as Canaan. And Canaan is actually the root for the word dog, or at the same time, canon, which means law, or somebody who is cunning, which means intelligent. Canaan actually means lowly in the basic form, to be the lowest. It also represents the star Sirius. In Latin, canicula, or in Greek, cuna astro. Because the star Sirius, in the greatest antiquity, was always the brightest star in the heavens. It's where the prime meridian of the heavens was established. It's not the first degree of Aries, like the Greeks say. That's only based on where the sun was rising in the spring equinox. During the Hellenistic era, of course, because we have precession, that changes, and it's moved quite a bit. So the only place that doesn't change is the brightest star in the heavens. Here's Ptolemy. He's actually established where the prime meridian is. You can see he doesn't do it exactly like I have, put the prime meridian through the constellation, but it's right up against it. And this is Sirius, the star, the dog star.
So there you go. It's there's a lot there. You got to really sit back and soak in a lot of some of his stuff.
So what's the connection exactly?
Research. So the dog star.
It was interesting information, but what connects the Canaanites with the dog star?
So Canaan, the dog star, the origin story is that there is something to do with the individuals or the entities that came to Mount Hermon, the Watchers, and their place of origin being from this place in heaven or the skies that has to do with this location, Sirius. And he goes on to talk about how it's connected to Gemini, and there's a lot of linguistic and celestial connections. David Flynn really pointed out the connection between how the architecture on Earth is a mirror reflection of what's happening in heaven, this as above, so below type of thing, and that a lot of ancient civilizations used the celestial map as a blueprint to construct things on Earth. And so that connection there with the dog star and Canaan makes this passage in Matthew very interesting, because Jesus is in Tyre Sidon. He's talking to a Canaanite woman, and he brings up, calls her a dog, right? And so there's this really interesting connection there. And if you think about what that represents, biblically, if you go back, if you go to, I think, Genesis 9, the Noah's shame and Canaan's curse. That Canaan is cursed because he saw Noah naked, and people have talked about what that really was, what he was really doing in the tent there after Noah got drunk on wine and was hanging out. And then also in Genesis 10, the table of nations, you look at the Hamites, the sons of Ham, and Canaan is listed as one of the sons of Ham. And of course, that's the line where you get Nimrod. So there's a lot of negative associations with that line. And so I think it's fascinating to mention that, Jesus, there's a lot of undercurrent going on here. When Jesus says, I was sent here, I was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. It's like, I'm here to save my sheep, not those in association with the Watchers and their offspring. Does that make sense? Is that too weird?
So you're saying this woman was a Nephilim?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. But that's the association. That's the messaging going on here. And of course, the woman, she knelt before him. Lord, help me, she said. And Jesus replied, it's not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs. And of course, there's a lot of theological stuff that's been written on that. Some people say that it's, that this is in reference to the children being Israel and the dogs being the Gentiles. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the more common interpretation of this passage. And maybe there's something there too. And then Jesus replying, he says, and then she says, yes, Lord, even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table. And of course, because Jesus says, oh, your faith is strong, let it be done for you as you desire. And then the daughter was healed from the demon. And what are the demons, Basil? Come on.
Bad guys.
Well, yes, but they're the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. Right? So, I mean, if you go to Enoch, it talks about the giants. Enoch 15:8.
Says some popular theories.
Right. Well, this is according to the book of Enoch. And now the giants who were born of the flesh will be called evil spirits on the earth, and on the earth will be their dwelling. And so this is where they get the idea that demons in the New Testament are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, or the giants.
Right, which is in a little bit conflict with the pure fallen angel description.
Well, see, the fallen angel description.
That's a whole nother podcast episode.
Right, right. But I've never said that the fallen angels are the demons. I know some people have. I'm not saying
you did. I
know some people have.
That's just sort of a common idea.
Sure. Yeah, I've heard people mention that, but
I mean, that's sort of a generally accepted theology in at least American evangelicalism, is that when you're talking about demons, you're talking about the fallen angels that came down when Lucifer was cast out.
Yeah, there's a connection there. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying that is the ubiquitously accepted description.
I understand that. Yeah. No, it's something that I think.
I'm just clarifying, because if somebody does not know the disembodied spirits of Nephilim theology that are demons and not fallen angels, that might be a little confusing to someone.
Yeah, but it's kind of parsing out details, because those disembodied spirits came from the offspring of the fallen angels. So you're kind of talking about the same thing, but just a different phase of, how they manifest on earth, kind of thing. Does that make sense? Because I mean, if the fallen angels mated with the human women and they had children, and those children were half angel or angelic and half human,
they're not the same thing. It would be
not
an
exactly
offspring.
The same thing, but yeah, it's their offspring. So, but
I'm just saying, yeah. No, I'm saying for other people, because the general American church description of demons is that they are the fallen angels, and the other theology that stems from the book of Enoch, some extra biblical descriptions of demons, is that demons are the spirits of the half angel, half human hybrid offspring from Genesis 6.
Right. Which, a lot of that is theology that the first century, Israelites had. So
right.
It's not newer. I think the evangelical view is newer in that sense, more simplified, if you will. Mm-hmm. But in any case, so there's a lot there. I think there's a lot there. More than Jesus being racist, I think if you want to dive into all the different layers that connect to Genesis and Genesis 6 especially, the Nephilim, the Watchers. There's a lot there. And I think hopefully, people use this opportunity not to be woke about Jesus here, but are able to look at the different layers that connect to, the star Sirius, the dog star, and Canaan, Sidonia, the Phoenix, all that stuff, because there's a rich history that most people that read the Bible, they don't really get into. They just kind of stay on the surface. But if you look at Jesus's entire ministry, it all had to do with undoing what the Watchers did. So in that regard, I feel like this passage, there's a lot more going on here than simply Jesus having a racist moment in his human form.
Yeah. Well, this is a symptom of the woke church thing that's going on, which is along the same lines of the conversation we just had, where already American evangelicalism is subject to oversimplification of scripture in order to, make things easy so people don't have to think about it too much. And then the general woke habit of oversimplifying things in order to point people and words and systems and institutions out as racist. A very simple act. I mean, if you just mention the Rothschilds, then you're racist against Jews.
Right.
If you just mention George Soros, that shows you're a white nationalist. And that's a similar symptom of the oversimplification that, just makes for popular, quick little sound bites that fit on TikTok so you can get a bunch of likes and continue your social media career. It's part of the sickness that is propagating cancel culture, where you pick out one tweet from a joke from a comedian from 10 years ago, and it proves that they're Nazis. This is similar oversimplification of scripture, and of course, this kid isn't taking the words from original languages. He's just reading his, the Message Bible that just uses the word dog, and then, of course, turns that into a racial slur, which, if you were going to make the case that was a racial slur, you would need to have some sort of literature on, how the Israelites called the Canaanites dogs because they were so racist. It's just more of this feelings over facts thing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that we just in general don't necessarily teach the judgment side of God, especially eschatologically. A lot of eschatology.
He's just speaking truth to power, Gons. Yeah. It's just speaking truth to power. Truth to power.
Well, the ultimate justice happens when God judges the world, right? So if we're going to talk about justice,
I'm going to love watching people try to speak truth to power on Judgment Day. That'll be so fun.
But it's interesting because that David Flynn lecture, he does get into how a lot of these esoteric and mystery schools, and they all talk about a point in history where resurrection takes place for all of humanity and they are going to be judged. And it's the biblical sort of narrative. They're twisting it up a little bit, but there is a common myth, or not a myth. That's not the right word. What's the word I'm looking for? Like a narrative almost, a mythical narrative that strings throughout all of the mystery schools and the Bible. I think the Bible really puts a context and clarity to who's doing all this. For a Messiah figure, the first time he comes as savior, second time he comes as judge, and it's to save his children. That's really the point here, that those who belong to him, and that idea of resurrection. It's kind of a wispy idea, like, oh, we're all gonna just be resurrected. It'll be nice, but I bring it up because it connects to our next story here, which has to do with the beast system. Oh, before I do, all of this has to do with the days of Noah.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
And This next story that I'll let you run with Basil has to do with resurrection too.
I'll let you.
I will allow you.
Run with
allow you.
This story. Okay, thank you.
Googly-eyed peon.
Oh, thank you. Even the dogs deserve the crumbs from the master's article list. This is coming from popularmechanics.com, and the headline is "A Dyson sphere could bring humans back from the dead." Researchers say this, Gons.
Oh, okay.
Now, for those who've been listening to our work for quite a while, a lot of this is going to sound familiar. It'll be a nice update and review for some people, but there's some very interesting parts that I want to point out as just our little technocratic Agenda 2045 update.
Sorry, I just read somebody in the chat. Who was it? They said, oh, it's his way. Yikes, I knew I didn't want one of those vacuum cleaners. Speaking of the Dyson vacuum cleaners.
Yes, Dyson is here to give you life everlasting.
It's so gentle.
Imagine. What?
I'm sorry. I'm just talking about that Dyson commercial. You know that commercial with the guy? He's like, "Oh, it's a new design with a cone."
Nope.
Picks up
no
trash
idea.
better. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Imagine this. In the far, far future, long after you've died, you've eventually come back to life. So will everyone else who ever had a hand in the history of human civilization. But in this scenario, returning from the dead is the relatively normal part. The journey home will be a heck of a lot weirder than the destination. Here's how it will go down. A megastructure called a Dyson sphere will provide a super intelligent artificial agent with the enormous amounts of power it needs to collect as much historical and personal data about you so it can rebuild your exact digital copy. Wow, my pronunciation is all over the place today. Once it's finished, you'll live your whole life again in a simulated reality. And when the time comes for you to die again, you'll be transported into a simulated afterlife, a la Black Mirror's San Junipero, where you'll get to hang out with your friends, family, and favorite celebrities forever. Yes, this is mind-boggling, but someday it might also be very real. This is Plan C of the Immortality Roadmap, a project on which Russian transhumanist and life extensionist Alexei Turkin has been working since 2014. Turkin recently laid out the details in a paper he published with fellow transhumanist Maxim Chernikov, called, quote, Classification of Approaches to Technological Resurrection. Parenthetical here. Plans A, B, and D involve life extension, cryonics, and quantum immortality, respectively. You can find arguments justifying how each can lead to immortality in the paper. When Turkin was 11 years old, a girl in his class died. The experience planted the first seeds of the possibility of eternal life in his young mind. Quote, I started to think in science fiction terms about what could be done, Turkin tells Pop Mech. In 2007, he became a member of the Russian transhumanist movement, a community that works to prepare Russians to embrace the technologies that will help them transcend their current physical and mental limitations. Turkin co-founded Russia's first transhumanist political party in 2012. So this Turkin guy is kind of like the Russian... what's that guy's name? The former leader of the Transhumanist Party in the U.S.
Zoltan Istvan.
Zoltan Istvan, right. So he's the Russian Zoltan Istvan.
I thought that was Dmitry Itskov. He was the guy of the 2045 project.
This is the same group of guys.
Yeah. Okay.
And for the last few years, he's been perfecting his immortality roadmap and proactively recording every tidbit of his life. And then there's they show the roadmap here. Not very interesting for the purpose of what we're doing here. Turkin is recording and keeping diaries of every dream, conversation, and daily experience he has. This practice of ubiquitous surveillance, throughout which Turkin says he even records his own biases, is necessary because the super intelligent AI needs to subject future resurrectees to the exact same developmental conditions they went through when they lived for the sake of their authenticity, he says. Once the AI creates your precise digital copy, anything is possible, even restoration to biological life, says Turkin. The AI will doggedly search your DNA. It will even dig up your grave, because only then will it be able to create a clone of your physical body, wherein your digital copy will find its temple. Dun, dun, dun. And I thought this was an interesting part of it, because you talk to a lot of these transhumanist guys, and it's split right down the middle, I'd say. Many of them are coming at it with a strictly materialist worldview. They don't think that their consciousness will necessarily be reanimated during any one of these processes. But then there's these guys who really take it to an extremely spiritual level. And I like those guys, because those are the types of guys that we can actually have conversations with. And of course, the body in a biblical worldview is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And what they are reaching for here is a time and a place where they will be able, where an artificial intelligence will have enough information on each and every one of them to resurrect them digitally, but then install them into a new temple, being a new body, a biological resurrection, which is just fascinating. Then it goes on a little bit here. Now take the singular example of digital immortality and multiply it to the scale of the billions of people who have ever lived, accounting for many copies of the same simulation with different variants of how things could develop, which will exponentially grow with any choice they make at the time. There's no way Earth's power output could provide the computational resources for this endeavor. We need the sun. Better yet, we need a Dyson sphere around the sun. The late physicist Freeman Dyson proposed a megastructure concept in 1960 science paper, quote, "Search for artificial stellar sources of infrared radiation." The gist, it's a hypothetical shell encircling the sun to harness a large part of the majestic 400 septillion watts per second of energy our star emits on any given day. That's on the order of 1 trillion times our current worldwide energy usage. Think of a Dyson sphere as many separate satellites with separate orbits, as one enormous structure should be gravitationally unstable, says Turkin. Excuse me. He envisions the megastructure as a fleet of black or slightly orange solar farms bonded together in a staggering 30 million kilometer shell around the sun. It will be the ultimate alien megastructure. Oh gosh, I have a cat walking on my keyboard and it's making things go awry. Get out of here, kitty. Uh-oh. Where was I? One that will signal the passage of our species from a planetary species to an interstellar one. There's just one small problem. We can't actually build such a thing. And then it goes into more about the Dyson structure.
There's one problem. We can't build it.
Yeah, and they actually go into nanoparticles and black goo type of stuff and how that's going to build a shell around the sun and save us all. But I just thought it was very interesting that in popular mechanics, a very popular mainstream, sorry, this cat is getting very curious, that they're taking it to this very spiritual level. I don't know. What do you think, Gons? It's been a while since we've heard from these people.
I think it's hilarious that the cat tail is like waving itself in front of your face. It's just
for those
awkward.
Who are not watching live, there's a cat invading the space here.
Yeah, so overall, it's not surprising. I remember hearing about some of this talk when we first reported on the Dyson sphere. And again, no surprises. And a lot of it has to do with the Arthur C. Clarke concept. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And again, the reason why I set it up with all that biblical stuff and the ancient concept of resurrection is because much of this has to do with without even realizing it, right? That's why I think it's a really interesting time we're living in, where the atheists, the materialists, as they conceptualize a resurrection or an eternal life with technology, they are basically speaking religion. They are talking religion. And they aren't even realizing that they are tapping into some of the most ancient concepts of the human epic, the story of humanity and what it all means, where we come from, where we're going, the biggest questions we have. And it's fascinating to think that technology is their God. They say, "Oh, technology and science will solve all of this. One problem, we don't know how to build it yet, but we will, we promise." And without even, again, realizing it, they're kind of tapping into the idea that there's a soul. They don't really say it. They try to avoid that distinct conversation.
Yeah, well, this digital copy thing, again, they just sort of repeat ancient religious ideas. They just use new language.
Right.
I mean, if you dig into it, this digital copy of them is basically a new definition of a soul. Now, is it the same thing? Is there consciousness attached? That's all very questionable. But it even brings in the simulation theory. They're talking about creating simulation on simulation, which, if you're a hardcore simulation theory person and think that we're all living in a simulation already, then it's very possible, and there's no reason that consciousness would not be attached to the whole thing.
Yeah, I was trying to find something over here, but in general, yeah, I think it's pretty much the same thing here that they're doing. And I don't understand is this just clickbait to some degree? Like, what do they expect people to do? Do they just want more money? Do they want more attention? Like, what is it that they are looking for in terms of pushing out stories like this for popular mechanics?
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, this immortality roadmap was from 2018. We've certainly been reporting on this Russian group of transhumanists for even longer, probably 2015 or 2016. It just seems to be a thing where they're just out of news stories and they're out of reporters, and so they just got to repeat this stuff. But it's not for nothing, because I think that there's as far as influence on society, which is their main job in the first place, that there's actually a lot of value to this, to taking steps towards acceptance of things like this techno spirituality, the idea that we could use technology to become immortal is really not that crazy of an idea to talk about in public circles anymore. So yeah, I mean, they're repeating all sorts of stories, but I don't know. It says something about the circular pattern of control that they tend to, use their own roadmap to guide us all down.
Right. And we talk about this in the context of the beast system because of the fact that, not just that there is an ancient connection here. If you study ancient Mesopotamian worldviews, they did have this belief that the dead can return from the netherworld to the land of the living. And, it was sort of the conceptual framework of a resurrection, that, death, disease, medicine, healing, all that was part of this worldview. And it's also a part of the eschatological events that are prophesied to happen, not just with humanity, but with the man of sin and the Antichrist having a mortal head wound, yet lived, and the world marveled after the dragon. All this stuff seems to be a big setup for some kind of resurrection event that will set up the world for the mark of the beast and all that kind of stuff, which is why, the whole, the vaccine is the mark conversation might be a little short-sighted, because there is this really intense resurrection of a guy with a mortal head wound part that, and people say, oh, it's just allegory for Rome. Sure, I guess, but it's seems to me that it's more explicit than that, at least from my interpretations and readings of the scriptures. But in any case, yeah, I think you're right. The part of this is we don't have Trump to bash. So back to talking about how we're going to live forever,
Yeah.
Indoctrinating the public.
For the Canary Cry Gamer Guild out there, I mentioned I was playing through Assassin's Creed Valhalla. If you've played through Assassin's Creed Valhalla, this particular article will become a very important part of the storyline there. Don't want to give any important spoilers around, but it really zags on you in the end. And this whole idea of digital resurrection and even digital afterlives.
Yeah, isn't Assassin's Creed, isn't that like a whole deal where you're kind of visiting ancient body, or like you're kind of transferred into an ancient body or something?
DNA memory to relive the lives of your ancestors, and they really took it to the next level in this game. I see some
nostalgia.
Yes. Well, yeah. They really step it up. Anyways, again, not very friendly to Christians in that franchise, but that's all part of it. It's the whole game. You're basically fighting against Christianity, and then you realize that the controlling mechanism in the entire game is all related to this digital afterlife, reliving digital lives, digital deaths, and reincarnation of ancestors.
Yeah, it is. It is sort of in the context of a video game or science fiction, but it's interesting to me that it truly taps into the greatest cosmic narrative, and it's really the wheat and the tares. Which side are you going to take? Is eternal life through Jesus Christ or not? It's a very definitive line that gets drawn there culturally, and even just worldview wise. But speaking of which, this story talked about how it's this guy is what's his name? Turkin. Yeah, Alexei Turkin. How he's recording every aspect of his lives and all this stuff. I feel like that has that kind of thinking can justify the hackers, because this story here, this is from yahoofinance.com. Tesla, oh, hold on, let me see here. Why is it all big and I can't see it? Tesla says Shanghai factory not hacked after breach of Verkada surveillance cameras. Yeah, it says here, U.S. electric vehicle maker Tesla Inc. said on Wednesday a hacking incident reported on Tuesday was restricted to a supplier's production site in Henan province, China, and its Shanghai car factory and showrooms were not affected. Yay! See how they spin that, Their whole...
Oh, they always do that. Yeah. There's this huge breach of privacy and the black swan disaster that people have been warning about forever. But don't worry, everything's going to be fine. You can still buy a Tesla.
A small group of hackers earlier this week viewed live and archived surveillance footage from hundreds of businesses by gaining administrative access to cameras supplied by Verkada, one of the hackers told Reuters on Tuesday. Oh, Reuters really doing some good reporting there. Just speak right to the hackers. Verkada acknowledged an intrusion, saying it had disabled all internal administrator accounts to prevent unauthorized access. Quote, our internal security team and external security firm are investigating the scale and scope of this issue, and we have notified law enforcement, said customers, and customers, it said on Tuesday. Swift software developer Tilly Kotman, who has gained attention for finding security flaws in mobile apps and other systems, shared with Reuters recordings allegedly from inside a Tesla factory in China and a showroom in California. Kotman also shared a list of Verkada user accounts and screenshots from other venues, including an Alabama jail, hospital rooms, a police interview area, and a community gym.
Oh, geez. That's a pretty big hack.
It's all to help you resurrect in the Dyson sphere. Reuters could not independently verify the authenticity of the list or screenshots, but they included detailed data and matched other materials from Verkada. Madison County Jail in Alabama did not respond to requests for comment. In a statement to Reuters, Tesla China said the hacking incident only involved one of its suppliers' production sites in China, Henan province. And
notice how it's centered all around Tesla as well.
Tesla and China.
Right. Well, there's a ton of other hacks going on, but they just connect it to the Tesla thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a jail. There was like a lot more important places that got hacked. What was it? And it was like a showroom for Tesla or a factory. Which one was it?
They're saying like, oh, the showroom wasn't hacked, guys. That's so silly because it's literally like, imagine your house getting robbed, and starting off with like, well, the good thing is that they didn't get into the basement.
Touch the leftovers in the refrigerator.
Right, exactly. Even though your entire jewelry was stolen by the jewel thief.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's not much else to talk about here. Verkada has raised $139 million in venture capital, with the latest financing announced a year ago, valuing the Silicon Valley startup at $1.6 billion. Ooh. Verkada drew scrutiny last year after Vice reported that some employees had used company cameras and its facial recognition technology to take and share photos of female colleagues. Khalizan later described the behavior as egregious and said 3 people had been fired over the incident. So, not good there for Verkada. But, yep, there you go. Another hack that isn't really getting that much play. Again, it's so weird. We just live in a world. People are like, oh, yeah, another hack.
Yeah, have you heard any follow-up stories about the solar flare? What is it called?
Yeah,
the solar flare hack.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
Put pretty much every American citizen at risk, and some major governmental institutions as well as
all of our government institutions.
Yeah, right.
Every Fortune 500 company.
Right before the election, or shortly after.
Oh yeah, I think it was right after. But yeah, this is Web 2.0 is broken. It's time to build a new internet, or at least a more secure internet, because this is
I'll get right on it.
Good. Do it. Should we talk to Alexei Turkin? Maybe he can help us with the Dyson sphere.
Busy. He's busy getting nanobutts to fly into the sun.
What if? Oh man, if you're a pro Dyson sphere guy, I would totally contact Dyson vacuums to just really, one day, that's the
same guy.
That's a really good PR commercial, One day you'll be able to live as your digital self in the Dyson sphere. In the meantime, great suction.
Yeah, for now we can suck up all your cat hair. Later we'll be sucking all the energy from the sun. All right, let's talk about the vaccine.
Okay, hold on here. Here we go.
Nanobutts.
Vaccine. A pandemic special.
Here's a little bit of a whoopsies, Gons. This is coming from the IET.org, and the headline is Instagram found to be recommending anti-vaxxer and extremist posts to users.
Oh no, how dare they?
I like how they connect anti-vaxxer and extremist. This is another step towards demonizing anybody who doesn't comply.
Yep.
A new report from the Center for Countering Digital Hate. Is anti-vaxxer a hate speech? I guess maybe
now it is.
And yeah, vaccines are a protected class now. A new report from the Center for Countering Digital Hate and Restless Development. Interesting. Digital hate and restless development found that the content was recommended through Instagram's suggested posts and explore features and came from accounts not followed by the user who recorded them. Yeah, that is how Instagram works, okay? The accounts, which were followed by test accounts set up for the report, totaled 9.9 million followers, implying that millions of Instagram users could receive the same recommendations. Some recommended posts were from the account of well-known anti-vaxxers. A previous report from the Center for Countering Digital Hate, published in December 2020, found that anti-vax accounts on Instagram had grown their audience by an additional 4.3 1.3 million followers during 2020. Yeah, no kidding. Instagram was also found to be recommending other conspiracists and extremist, again, you got to put extremist next to these things, accounts to users, the study found, as well as health misinformation. The social network promoted accounts spouting anti-Semitism. So somebody mentioned the Rothschilds. Election misinformation. Okay, so somebody saw the same video footage we all did, and promoting the QAnon conspiracy theory. Unacceptable. Examples of posts encountered in the report include claims that both voting machines and mail-in ballots used in the 2020 U.S. presidential election were fraudulent, which is factual. I mean, they're even people who deny that there was widespread voting fraud admit that there were at least some voting fraud. Anyways, posts from the far right activist Tommy Robinson. Is that English guy?
Yeah.
Is that the UK guy?
Yeah. Didn't he get arrested or?
Yeah, he keeps getting arrested for
reporting
free speech. Yeah.
I'm reporting from, oh no, why are you taking me away?
Yeah, conspiracy theories that Joe Biden is dead and his clone arrested, and anti-Semitic memes.
Why is it always the most extreme example?
Well, no, and again, not only is it extreme, but it's not even the real theory.
No,
it's a combination of multiple theories. Joe Biden is dead and his clone. So, okay, there's one that Joe Biden has a clone and Joe Biden's dead. But no, the clone has been arrested. And anti-Semitic memes suggesting that Jews are behind COVID-19 mask requirements and want to establish a new world order.
Oh, wait, no, hold on. New world order, that's not true. There's no such thing as a new world order. No one ever said anything about a new world order like George Bush.
A new world order can emerge.
Yeah, even what's his face? Even Charles Schwab mentioned the sorry, not Charles Schwab.
Charles Schwab. Klaus Schwab, yeah. Okay.
Klaus Schwab just recently mentioned building a new world order.
It's a great reset, we can build a new world order.
Yeah. The study's findings suggest that Instagram is introducing users as interested in one extremist subject to other outlandish theories, and that curiosity about COVID and vaccines could act as a gateway to more hateful extremist ideologies. And isn't that how? Shouldn't we all be very suspicious of this gateway rhetoric?
Yeah.
What does this gateway rhetoric remind you of?
Marijuana is a gateway drug to heroin.
Yeah, if you smoke marijuana, you're gonna become a crackhead, which was part of the failed war on drugs campaign started by what was her name? The first Bush wife, the elder Bush wife,
Barbara.
Yes, Barbara Bush. So there you go. If you smoke marijuana, you become a crackhead. If you question vaccines, you become a Nazi. That's just how it goes. Roseanne Palmer-White, Restless Development UK director, said, quote, misinformation online isn't hiding in the shadows. Instagram is actively bringing these lies to you. Instagram must not be a gateway platform that pushes users on a journey from anti-vax lies to other extremist material. Quote, we are so close to turning the tide on this nightmare pandemic with vaccine programs rolling out across the world. We can't let inaction from social media executives to change their algorithms and remove misinformation hold us back now. Censor, censor, censor is what they're saying. The research simulated the experience of a variety of users by creating fresh Instagram accounts with differing interests. Some of these were innocuous, blah, blah, blah. We're not interested in how you made more accounts to see what would get suggested. We will end with a couple quotes here. Imran Ahmed, CCDH CEO, said, quote, it is beyond belief that as the pandemic swept the world, Instagram launched a new feature encouraging users to view conspiracy theories and lies about COVID and vaccines. It is beyond belief. This feature was created in the name of profit to keep people scrolling so more adverts could be served to them. Quote, algorithms that recommend content are the act of a publisher, making choices as to what readers see, not a neutral platform. This has serious legal and regulatory implications for social media companies and shows their liability for damage to individuals and societies. Quote, Instagram's actions will have created greater distrust in the COVID vaccine, costing lives and prolonging the pandemic for all of us. You know, Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, and all social media platforms, they just can't win. They censor people, they get hate. They don't censor people, they get hated even more. So I do not envy Mark Zuckerberg, not just because of the lizard person thing, but also, you know, it's just he's got a rough time.
Yeah, I was doing a little quick research into first off into the CCDH. Just curious about it, and yeah, they have a document they published called Malgorithm.
Ooh.
How Instagram's algorithm publishes misinformation and hate to millions during pandemic, and they also had a little infographic on what to do, like how to fight it, how to stop the spread of misinformation about COVID vaccines, and their recommendation: how to be a vaccine ally. 5 tips for countering anti-vax information.
Vaccine ally?
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's disgusting. It made me puke a little bit.
First, you got to stop. Don't engage with anti-vaccine misinformation online. Then slow. Don't overreact. Just because you see it doesn't mean it's widely believed. Next, correct misinformation from family and friends privately. And then spread pro-vaccine messages. And then lastly, get vaccinated and get loud about it. This is, I think, all the virtue signaling that we've seen of people doing, this is what it comes from. I bet you this counter hate group is what's been funding all those people that step out there with the stickers and the candy and all that.
You can't win with that either, because yes, people are being encouraged to be loud about their vaccination, to normalize vaccinations, to post when they get vaccinated, make a big deal about it. But then you've got social justice warriors on the other side that are basically saying posting about your vaccination is privilege. It's privilege, and it's hate speech, because so many other, they put it in the context of minorities and less fortunate people, are not in the position to get vaccinated. So again, they're creating a situation, and I think it's on purpose, creating a situation where it's a lose-lose, It's part of the divide and conquer agenda, where no matter what you do, you're going to be hated by some group.
Yeah.
It's hate speech, guns.
Yeah, maybe somebody else can help me with this one, because I was looking at the founder here. His name is Imram Ahmed, the one that was quoted just a moment ago. And, he's the chief executive officer of CCDH. And it says here that he is part of the Cumberland Lodge, exchanging views, inspiring minds. And of course, whenever I see lodge, I think Freemason. But I can't seem to, I don't know that this is a actual Freemasonic lodge, which is why I'm kind of wondering if there's somebody that lives in the UK, if they know something about the history. There's a history and heritage section here. It doesn't say anything about Freemasons, so maybe they're not. It says a 17th century former royal residence in Windsor Great Park, Cumberland Lodge, has been home to an educational foundation since 1947. The Queen, the Princess Helena, daughter of Queen Victoria in the late 19th century. Lodge takes its name from William Augustus, Duke of Cumberland, and second son of King George II. So, yeah, maybe not a direct tie to the Freemasons per se, although maybe they're doing a good job.
I mean, if you're connected to royalty or whatever,
yeah, you're in the
bloodline, you're fine. You're in the club.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see if it actually does connect to...
If you got the blood, you're in the club.
Yeah. Well, there is a Cumberland Lodge, but I don't know that this is the same one. From a freemasonsluton.org. But anyway, yep. I just thought, just doing a little off-the-cuff digging.
Yeah.
To see if there's any connection here, because it always seems to be mentioned, or at least there's some kind of connection there. The Cumberland Lodge was founded in 1918. The Master Lodge was Hugh Cumberland, hence the name of the lodge. And Luton, maybe this is a different area here, but in any case, sorry, going down a rabbit trail. Didn't mean to derail the main conversation. No, Instagram, bad.
Not derailing at all, but yeah, it was just pointing out it's funny. They call this, I mean, it's just a general algorithm. It's not specifically pointed at spreading anti-vax rhetoric. It just gives you more of what you're already interested in.
Yeah.
And occasionally introduces some other adjacent topics to see if you want that. Just whatever they can do to keep you scrolling. And that's kind of the point also when it comes to Instagram and social media. It's all about economics. They do whatever they need to do to make money. Money and power is their game. They're not necessarily ideological. They get ideological when it's in their economic best interest.
Right.
And that's something that I think the woke crowd or the compliant crowd are going to learn sooner or later. They're all excited that their revolution is supported by big business and corporations, and we're really changing the world. I mean, that's happening until it stops being profitable for them. And then you're just going to be censored and cast aside, just like the rest of us extremists.
Yeah.
Or just people who, allow ourselves to have our own thoughts about things. Yeah. So anyways, there you go.
Yeah. Well, the people that are, what was the phrase that made you barf in your mouth? A vaccine ally?
Vax ally.
Ally?
A vaccine ally. Because again, it's just stealing. It's part of the NLP stuff.
Yeah.
An ally, of course, began in the social justice movements around the LGBTQ people, where, you don't have to be gay to fight for gay rights. You can be an ally. As if, so now they're sort of equating vaccines with the struggles of LGBTQ people. Just like, these vaccines.
Pro-vax people are just.
Yeah.
These really struggle.
Yes, the pro-vax have just been so
oppressed.
Oppressed. Thank you. I can't even think of the word. I'm such an oppressor. These vaccines have been so oppressed. They have no support from well, never mind. They have all the support of every government and every media outlet, and so be a vax ally.
Yeah, well, apparently the Vax ally in Hollywood and media.
They are scum.
Because in this story here, Los Angeles Times, flooded with line cutters from Hollywood and media. Pasadena cancels COVID vaccine clinic.
Oh, that's opposite. They need to be a Vax ally.
Well, they are. They're so ally-ish. Is that it? I don't think that's a word. They're so pro-vax, they're willing to cut in line. It says here, Pasadena officials on Tuesday canceled.
They're the best allies.
Pasadena officials on Tuesday canceled the COVID-19 vaccination clinic for senior citizens. Come on. Let the senior citizens get their jab, eh? Grocery store employees and other essential workers, after hundreds of people who were not eligible for the shot signed up for appointments. People who did not yet qualify for the vaccine under state guidelines claimed about 900 of the 1,500 slots at the clinic that was designed for people older than 65 and essential workers who live or work in Pasadena, said city spokeswoman Lisa Derderian. Many of the appointments were booked by people who worked in the news media and in Hollywood, Derderian said, including at production companies, streaming TV services, news outlets, and on the sets of soap operas. Just real good bunch. Quote,
love it.
Hundreds
what a great
signed
group
up.
Of folks.
I know. Hundreds signed up within the first hour, Dodarian said. Quote, it was like rapid fire. The Pasadena Public Health Department's the health department last week sent an email to healthcare workers, senior citizens, childcare workers, teachers, and food workers who had previously expressed interest in getting the vaccine, telling them they could book appointments at a clinic at Pasadena City College. The email told workers they would be required to present proof that they worked in an eligible industry and lived or worked in Pasadena. The email also included a registration link to California's vaccination appointment system, CalVax, and provided slots for 5 days, including Thursday. On Monday, the LA Times reporter who had received a link to sign up for an appointment called the city. Darden said officials opened the registration system and saw that hundreds of people with jobs in Hollywood and the news media had claimed available slots, she said. Those sneaky Hollywood news media people. The registration link for Thursday's vaccination clinic had spread like wildfire. A red-lettered warning had failed to keep the links private. The CalVax website does not allow health departments or vaccine clinics to limit registrations to people who live or work in certain zip codes. That means people who are not eligible for vaccines or not eligible at a particular site can still fill out the registration forms and secure an appointment. And it goes on here. You get the point. But, part of this makes me think like, hey, all those old people that are standing in line for the jab, these Hollywood types maybe saved your life, huh? They're like, we will take the jab, but in the context of trying to get the people that want it. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to take sides either way here, but I just think it's pretty scummish.
Well, a couple interesting things that make me question this whole thing is they were talking about people who work in Hollywood and work in the news media, where this was for people who live in Pasadena and I guess work in other
qualified
other industries or of a certain age. Look, I spent a little bit of time in LA. You can live in Pasadena and work in Hollywood. That happens all the time.
Sure.
So I don't know, but to full on cancel it, that's a tough decision. Whoever's in charge of that and they realize that their system has been taken advantage of, to have to make the decision of like, well, we could just let one by one these people come in and turn them away, or we can cancel the vax for everyone.
Right.
It's hard to get good PR on either one or on either one of those things.
I think actually they made the right decision here. It says we would have hundreds of people showing up who would not have qualified and they would have been turned away. Can you imagine all those people getting turned away? They'll start riots.
Yeah, right. And especially since they're all in news media.
Yeah.
That would
they'll power trip.
That would get some bad press.
Yeah.
Pasadena vaccine program turns away hundreds of people who want the vaccine.
Right. And then she added, quote, we do check for ID. We will turn you away if you don't meet the current tier, if you don't live in town or work in town. Our health officer will not risk her credentials or her health department's licensing or the city's reputation. We are very strict in adhering to the guidelines. So, yeah, I think they made the right decision to cancel it. But, but man, a bunch of
that's your caring, empathetic, liberal Hollywood elites, folks.
Yeah, the media too. Fantastic folk over there. Oh, we should pray for them. Pray for your enemies, Basil.
Such good liberals.
I know.
I got a quick little update on the Olympics here.
Yay! Yep, I don't have a jingle for the Olympics.
We don't have a jingle for the Olympics.
I guess it's here.
Gold medal.
Okay, there you go. That
you stepped on my jingle.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Doing a great Olympics jingle. Japan to stage Tokyo Olympics without overseas spectators. Oh, the Japanese government, all those robots.
robots. That was my angle on this story.
The Japanese government has decided to exclude overseas spectators from attending this summer's Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics as part of the effort to prevent the spread of the novel coronavirus, officials with knowledge of the matter said Tuesday. The government and the Japanese Organizing Committee of the Summer Games are expected to hold a remote meeting with the International Olympic Committee and 2 other bodies, possibly next week, to make a formal decision on the issue of overseas visitors. Oh, so it's not even quite decided, but okay. The government has concluded that welcoming fans from abroad is not possible, given concerns among the Japanese public over the coronavirus and the fact that more contagious variants have been detected in many countries, according to the officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity. Why? Why are you speaking on the condition of anonymity? What are you hiding? This is not like a crazy thing to do. This is a generally accepted decision. And it's very suspicious that they're speaking on the condition of anonymity, or it's just not real. It's another fake source. Who knows?
Yeah.
Japan continues to halt new entries of foreign nationals in principle, as it is taking more time than initially expected for the government to stem the number of infections since early January, when it peaked at more than 2,500 cases per day in Tokyo. With the decision, the government will also have to review its growth strategy, given that expectations for inbound visitors to revive the Japanese economy were high, especially before the games were delayed for 1 year due to the outbreak of the virus. On March 3rd, the representative of the 5 organizing bodies, which also include the International Paralympic Committee and the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, agreed to make a decision on overseas spectators by the end of the month. They will then make a call in April on the number of spectators to be allowed into venues based on Japanese restrictions on attendance in large events. While the 1-year postponement of the games has caused the cost to balloon to at least 1.64 trillion yen, that's $15 billion, the organizing committee was expected to make 90 billion yen from ticket sales, which is pretty common. Countries lose money on the Olympics all the time. Yeah. The committee now needs to proceed with refunding foreign ticket holders, and it is expected to separately consider what to do with foreign spectators, yada, 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 yada. The big story is all these poor robots. They had such big plans to activate the robot army and really show off Japanese robotic capabilities. Well, it's just going to turn Olympic Village is just going to be a commune of robots.
Well, here's the thing. So, yes, those robots were there. Well, they had the robots there for the athletes as well to help them get around. That was part of the plan. But now, instead of human spectators, they can just, get the robots to be the spectators.
Oh, yeah. Just
have them all roll into those seats and... Yeah. It'll solve itself. But I feel
would
bad.
Love to catch that on TV.
Yeah. They can be the eyes for the streamers back at home. But it's interesting how it says overseas spectators. Japan is an island. Every country is overseas.
Right.
So it's kind of an interesting way to put that. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do here with the Olympics and how is anybody going to care? Are people going to watch?
I don't know. Oh, you mean watch now that they're not allowed to show up?
Well, just in general, is it going to be? Well, I guess it has to be. Now that there's no hate Trump, people can focus on stuff like the Olympics.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? I don't know. I don't think anybody's really that worried about the Olympics except for the athletes, which
everything got thrown off.
Yeah, I do feel for the athletes. That's kind of unfortunate. You train your entire life to go to the Olympics and suddenly you're doing it and there's just a bunch of robots in the crowd.
And you're going to get your medal. You're going to stand on that podium. You're going to wave at all those robots. Look at me.
They love you. They love you.
I'm the best of the humans. Okay, well, we got an email from a listener. Did you want to?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Go for it.
It's in the Proton Mail, right?
Yes, it's titled "Vaccines Update from the UK."
Yes, so we've been trying to keep up. Now, the UK started vaccinations way before the United States and other places, and we got that first update. This is the same person, right?
I
believe
so.
it is.
Yeah, producer Julie.
Producer Julie.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get a little update here from producer Julie. And I've been watching the conversations in the chat, and I think that this will be apropos to what a lot of people are having to deal with. So let's get into it. Greetings, dear Basil and Gons. Oh, thank you. Thought I would drop you a line on what's going on here in the UK regarding vaccinations. It's full speed here now to get the jab. Everyone I know, i.e. church folk, etc., thrilled to be getting. So far, my parents and mother-in-law had one Pfizer and thankfully okay. It's now the turn of my husband. To get his next Saturday. He will get AstraZeneca. He does not want it, as neither do I. But it's abundantly clear, if you don't, you won't be able to live life. So what to do? In the end, we are boosting our immune systems every day we can, but in the end, we will trust that God will protect us. Last time I wrote you, I mentioned GP, and you guys didn't know what that means. So here, everyone in the UK is registered with a local general practice surgery. And whatever your problem, unless an emergency, that's where you go for your day-to-day health care. Hence, your doctors are called general practitioners, or GP. Okay, thank you for clearing that up. They then refer you to specialists in relevant illnesses at the local hospitals. And for those who don't know, the UK is on their, what is it called? NIH, their sort of quasi-socialized health program. Anyway, having explained that, as things now stand, it's very hard to see a doctor. Indeed, very rare to see one face-to-face. It's by phone call, so you can see how things are going here. My own medical health has challenges, and I've worked very hard over years to heal myself. Nonetheless, I have to take certain stuff to live. What's more, I have to carry an EpiPen to an unknown allergy, which nearly cost me my life a few years back. So to that end, I've tried to get a GP to say no, I'm accepted from the jab. As you can guess, that's not happening. Instead, I have to go to hospital when they ring me with an appointment because they don't know what will occur. I'm now in the age bracket, so expect that call soon. Yeah, so Julie has an allergy problem, has to carry an EpiPen, and as we've seen, the jabs are pretty dangerous for people who have severe allergens, or allergies rather. And so they have to be in a fully equipped medical place to get the jab because they might have some sort of extreme reaction to it. But you have to get it. No getting out of it. She continues, we truly do not have a choice over our health here. Yes, you can refuse a jab, but you won't be able to work, go to venues or restaurants. That's for now. But I'm sure it will be extended to no health care, and you name it. I might have been able to get away with it for a while, but my son's rescheduled wedding from last year, which hopefully will be allowed later in the year, will very probably insist on proof of vaccination. So what's a parent to do? Not go to their wedding? I've tried talking to people about the dangers of all this stuff and actually for years, but people just don't get it or don't want to. I don't know. They think life will return to as it was before. Our lockdown began, hopefully, to end from May 8th. When children were told to return to class, people think that the roadmap as laid out by the government will go to plan. And yeah, that's worked out great so far. And after 21st of June, everything will be returning to some normality. We shall see what occurs. Every secondary school child, year 7 and up, that's 11 years plus, has to test has to test at their households now every week, and if positive, isolate again. Let's see how that works out. I really hope that this scenario does not hit you in the USA, but I wouldn't put money on it. If I did not have my faith and know where my security lies, I would be very unsettled about me and my family having to have this jab. Obviously, it's a precursor to much worse to come. That's kind of where we stand on it. But in the end, my husband and I have decided that at this stage in the game, if you can't do life, there's no choice. Ultimately, if you're a child of God, your life is hidden in Christ, and that's a real comfort we should all hold to. We should not have a spirit of fear, but love, power, and sound mind. I'm certainly treating this vaccination as a weapon, and so will pray and proclaim it as such. As the Canary Cry family will mostly identify with my thoughts on this subject, I would appreciate prayer for protection as we face these vaccinations. As more of us have to take them, no matter if we vehemently reject them, we need to stand with one another. And then the rest we don't need to read. So thank you very much, Producer Julie, for that update. And yes, this is evidently a very important conversation that people are having. I saw today in the chat, people are talking about it. And it's coming to the point, again, all of us crazy conspiracy theorists knew it was going to come to, that, you're going to be restricted in society quite a bit if you're not able to have it. The UK is certainly further along in that process than the US is. And I would say as a whole, there's probably stronger, louder, and more resistance to that idea in the US than other places, including the UK, if for no other reason than we just have a lot more people. But this is a big decision that everybody's kind of having to make, and it's not. I mean, as easy as it is to just say online that you're never getting the jab, and it's as simple as that. Hey, again, more power to you, but people are in real situations where, I mean, the choice is you either get the jab or you miss your son's wedding. You can't go out of the house. You can't get health care. You can't go to buy food. You can't do anything. They're trying to shut all your possibilities off, where, again, they can't technically mandate that you get the jab, but they can be very convincing that you have no other choice.
Yeah, and we appreciate the note. And I think locally, at least in California, there were some politicians fighting for implementing or sort of reinstalling the religious rights type of conversation with, not having to get a vaccine. Yeah, I know that's not the case worldwide, obviously.
Right.
But if there is a way to do that and raise awareness with that, maybe that's something where people can, play that card, at least in the U.S. It might be a little harder for places like California. But even then, it could be, are you still restricted? Like, oh, you don't have to get it. Sure. Religious rights, whatever. But again, like you said, you can't travel. You can't go here. You can't go there. I hope it doesn't get to that point. But certainly feels like that's the direction they want to take it, and we'll just have to see. I mean, I personally, I'd rather just become a hermit than get a jab.
Yeah, I'm kind of into the hermit thing.
I mean, they've built it up enough to, and we've flown under the radar. At least I have, without having to need anything like that to get around. But I haven't tried to get too far away from my local area here, which I might have to do next month to help some family members move. I might have to hop on a plane and stuff. So, it won't be fun if they make me scream into
the screaming booth, the scream test booth.
Yeah,
I'm not against the scream test booth necessarily, but yeah, it's interesting. The thing is with the U.S. It's a little less. The government is a little less. What is the word I'm looking for? nobody's on the same page. I mean,
not even close.
Not even close. Like, again, with as many problems as we have here in the U.S. and like the a lack of cohesion across the social and government power structure. That's the beautiful thing about America. I think the strength comes in the lack of cohesion.
Oh, that's of course. That's we talk about decentralization. That kind of is decentralization. It sort of breeds a little bit of chaos because nobody's really on board with certain things, and it's okay. Like it's supposed to be like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, right. If people think it's such a problem that like the entire United States population and the entire government is not all on the same team, like we said before, that's the scary part. When everybody's on the same team and it's this mob majority rule, that's when it gets worse. So when you have people disagreeing, that's a wonderful way to slow down the sort of encroachment of compliance. So I do have hope for the United States that we probably will not turn out in a similar situation. Not for not trying. There are certainly people who would love to have full compliance and everybody singing Kumbaya with their third arm growing out of their back from the vaccine. Fake news. Hey, fake news. You don't grow a third arm. I get it. Hey, don't censor me. Don't censor me. That was called comedy. It wasn't very funny, but that's anyways. So there you go. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Producer Julie. And yes, as things develop, we'll see how that goes.
Yep. And we got one more quick story from the world of vaccines. Also, the South Park thing is tonight. So I don't know. I'm not going to watch it.
The South Park thing?
South Park with a Q. You haven't seen the ads for that?
No. What is that?
Oh, they're going full board like anti-vax versus vax. It's a whole thing.
South Park, actual South Park, the TV show.
Yeah, the TV show. And they changed
Is it like a pandemic special, but it's like a Q special?
Kind of, yeah. I think that's kind of what they're going for. They're going to tap into the conspiracy theorist conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, real tip of the iceberg. South Park with the Q.
I might have to check that out. I know my mother wouldn't approve, but sounds like a cultural event that
it's
I might
research, Mom.
It is research. It's for work, Mom.
Plus, I'm in my 30s, Mom.
Mom.
I can make my own decisions.
Mom.
USAtoday.com. America could soon be swimming in COVID-19 vaccines.
Oh, my gosh, the hyperbole.
The shift from scarcity to surplus could bring its own problems. So first it was we didn't have enough. Now we're going to be swimming in it. And in fact, that might be a better way to get compliance. What if I just swam in a giant pool of vaccine? Would that allow me to go places? Do I have to still get the jab or?
Yeah, that might be a better delivery vector.
I mean, I did basically cook myself in a giant water tub of chlorinated water for hours at a time every day. I was that kid. You walk into a classroom and everyone would go, "Lick your arm, dude, lick your arm." So what? I lick. You don't know about this?
No.
Okay, so if you're a swimmer, you're bathing in chlorine. If you walk into a classroom and you lick your arm, the entire classroom smells like bleach. It starts smelling like bleach.
When you lick your arm, it smells like bleach.
Yes.
That is so strange.
Yeah,
you swimmers are so strange.
We are very strange people. I mean, come on. We stared at a black line on the bottom of a pool for hours at a time.
Just to go back just a little bit, Jonathan, I believe he's our Irish listener. I can't remember if he was Irish or Northern Irish. Jonathan on YouTube here says, you guys might be on that episode. And I will say, if anybody watches the South Park, keep an eye out for googly eyes. There's a possibility googly eyes. That would be interesting.
Yeah, that is
then
a good point.
We'll know.
Yeah, I just
Jonathan is Northern Ireland. Thank you for that.
I had to just find this just real quick. to make my point here. There's a blog here. Chlorine is ruining my life. Hawk headlines. My skin is dry. My hair is half dead. And if you just so happen to lick my arm, the pungent scent of chlorine will fill the room in a matter of seconds. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So weird.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
It's true.
Swimmers are weird people, man.
Well, we're in chlorinated water for hours.
Yeah, you're mutants.
Okay. The story here. In just 2 months, the U.S. could be swimming in COVID-19 vaccine. The 500 million 0.5 or 0.3 milliliter doses expected to be shipped by then literally are enough to fill a 55,000 gallon swimming pool.
I have no reference for that. How big is a 55,000 gallon swimming pool?
I actually don't know either.
Oh, that seems
that
a little
seem like
low
a
to be like an Olympic size. That might be like a Orange County middle class backyard swimming pool.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see.
I don't know.
I'm just going to look it up real quick here. Just to see.
I'll look it up. You continue.
Okay. As hard as it is to imagine now, as people frantically call, click, and line up to get vaccinated, the nation is close to shifting from a situation of scarcity to one of abundance. Quote, it's not a switch that flips, but it's a sliding scale that happens differently community by community, said Andy Slavitt, White House senior advisor for the COVID response team. Quote, this is not something that will start at some magical day in the future. It has begun today, and it's something that we have to make sure we're addressing. I'm still uncertain what the issue is here. Like, okay, we didn't have enough. Now we have enough.
There
we
is
have more than
lot.
enough. So what's the problem? With a plentiful supply of vaccines, there will be more urgency to convince the reluctant to accept it, experts say.
They're worried about worried about having too much product.
Overabundance in the actual number of jabs, not enough people to take it. Otherwise, the abundance.
So I'm going through the pool sizes. The closest thing I could find is a 51,700 gallon swimming pool. Is 25 by 50
feet or what?
Feet. 25 feet by 50
big.
feet.
That's
pretty big.
No, not really.
But it's not like an Olympic size thing at all.
No, not even close. Not even close. Because 25, that's 8 yards. A normal short course pool is 25 yards the short way.
Yeah,
so
this is like a big backyard pool.
Yeah, big backyard pool or a community pool type of situation.
Yeah, medium community pool.
Yeah.
All right, that's a lot of vax for all those vax allies.
It says here, otherwise, the abundance of vaccines will become a stagnating surplus that threatens to undermine the nation's ability to move beyond the pandemic. Everything, there's nothing that's been hey, we're going to move past. Everything has been, if we don't do this, nothing will be back to normal.
Here's the news flash, people. We're moving past it. We're fine.
I'm living my life. Quote, when we start to have more vaccines available, we're really going to be in bad shape because what we're going to see is a lot of people who don't want to get vaccinated, said Bernadette Bowden Albala, Dean of the Public Health Program at the University of California, Irvine. That's my...
he's your neighbor.
My alma mater. Sort of. Not quite. 8 units shy, but...
I used to have to ride my bike past that place.
The home of the anteaters. That's right. It was either the unicorns or the anteaters. Class of 1970, whatever, chose the anteaters. Anyway, so far, about 18%.
Getting nostalgic here.
I know.
So far, staring wistfully off into the middle distance.
So far, about 18% of all Americans have been immunized against COVID-19. Bolden Albala thinks there will be vaccine surpluses in some areas as soon as early April. Then the challenges will start. Quote, if we've got whole states in this country that don't want to mask and don't want to socially distance, then I'm very concerned we'll have people there who don't want to be vaccinated either, she said. Oh, that's a very smart connection there she's making. They're spreading the message, free vaccine. Messaging will matter, experts say. Propaganda. The easiest group to reach, the most compliant, the sheeple, will be those who've simply put it off because of the hassle to get an appointment. For them, the message needs to be that immunization's quick, easy, and free, said Christopher Morse, an expert on health communication at Bryant University, Smithfield, Rhode Island. Quote, "You want to tell them it's free and how easy it is to get an appointment," he said. Something like, I like how he's coming up with the taglines for the PR.
Yeah, he's brainwashing. Brainwashing.
He is, but he's coming up.
He's brainstorming.
Brainstorming, yeah. Something like, quote, "In the time it takes you to order a cup of coffee, you could be vaccinated against COVID-19. No.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll do it then.
I didn't realize. Okay, go ahead. The message should not be, quote, "We've got tons of vaccines," because then people will be convinced they can put it off for longer, he said.
And here's where he's going to get into the manufactured scarcity, which they've been doing since the beginning.
Yeah.
The manufactured scarcity, the black market vaccines. Oh, go get it. There's not very much.
I like how they invoke the church here. Some people who haven't gotten vaccinated simply haven't had time or felt rushed to do so. Messages about why it's worth their while will be needed, experts say. Quote, "You might say," like how they constantly come up with these like PR lines. "You might say, quote, get vaccinated, spend Easter with your family," or "a church might encourage people to be fully vaccinated so they can sing together," said Dr. Kelly Moore, deputy director of the nonprofit Immunization Action Coalition. Tell us what to do. We have no idea what to do. Tell us what to do, deputy director. Younger people who don't necessarily feel at risk might be convinced to get vaccinated to help others, but they might be more enticed so they can go out to the movies again, eat dinner with friends, or hang out in bars. Quote, "They're going to be focused more on the social impact versus the health impacts."
Notice how they're right. Yeah. What they're saying is we want to threaten them with lockdowns.
Right.
It's a threat. The threat is a feature, not a bug.
No.
And this is funny because they're not really mentioning the fact that at last count, 16 states were lifting restrictions.
Yeah, it's almost like they're scrambling to continue the scam.
Yeah, it's like this imaginary thing. They're trying to make people think that it's scarier than it actually is.
Yeah, mobile clinics, pop-up vaccination sites, and public service announcements for local leaders will be important to reach those in low-income communities of color where vaccine uptake has lagged because of access and hesitancy. Such efforts have begun in some places, but they must ramp up significantly as a greater percentage of the population is immunized and the extent of vaccine reluctance becomes clear, experts say. In California, Orange County is sending 8-person vaccination travel teams into homeless camps, jails, and other hard-to-reach populations.
You mean strike forces?
Jab forces.
Yeah.
Quote, "They come in a van, no appointments required."
Yeah,
of course that makes me feel safe.
They come in a windowless van, and no appointment means no warning.
No warning, just
swoop in,
and they vaccinate whoever is available. What?
Hey,
this van pulls up. These people walk out. Hey!
A homeless encampment.
Yeah.
Who's available?
Who's here?
Suddenly all these homeless people have appointments they need to get to.
I don't even want to read the rest of this. This is ridiculous. But, it's funny. I was listening to a totally unrelated podcast, and they're, kind of, you can call them normie-ish. They're not really in tune with all the stuff. So they're kind of more like, I took my mom to get vaccinated. But they were talking about how when they went to the parking lot to get the vaccines for their parents, their mother and stuff, the people working there walked out with coolers, like those what's that brand of coolers?
Yeti?
No, not Yeti. It's like the generic brand. Igloo, yeah, like an Igloo cooler that looked like it had been used for beer the weekend before. And the guy was saying like, if I'm going to get
faded, dirty,
it's all dirty.
Cooler.
He's like, if this thing is truly supposed to be, negative 100 degrees or whatever, I want the guy from ET. I want the whole, I want the whole bodysuit. I want
hazmat suit.
He's like, I want the smoke, the cold ice, dry ice smoke to come out when he opens the thing. And I want like the whole deal. No, it's just some guy in a sweatshirt, a hoodie, walking over with.
That is where they're screwing up with this. So they made a concerted effort to make it less clinical to get your vaccine. You know, we heard the reports about the balloons, and they're playing Katy Perry and trying to get people to dance, and they're passing out candy, to make it like a party getting your vaccine, which it was a huge mistake.
Horrible mistake.
Part of the at least the American healthcare system is similar to the security theater in an airport. Right. You're supposed to have the medical theater. It's supposed to be an experience. It's to inspire trust. It's to inspire, science, to trust the science that is a very serious situation. And that's exactly it. People, they don't want the lollipops and the balloons if they're getting this very serious thing that supposedly is going to save the world. You don't want the igloo cooler. you want the theater, the medical theater.
Yeah.
And I think they made a huge mistake going with this, breaking the veil, lifting the veil, breaking the fourth wall on the whole medical theater thing.
Yeah. It's not breeding trust in the public eye, but what do you know? These people people running this stuff are completely out of touch.
Yeah.
They're just spitting stuff out there. They think they know, they don't know. They're in offices and, they do their thing. And
it's insulting.
Very much insulting that, let's come up with these lines. Oh, what about, hey, you want to hang out? You want to sing with your church people? One way to do that is to get vaccinated. Oh, yeah, that's going to work.
As if real church people are going to wait for your permission to sing.
Seriously. Anyway, all right. Well, that's all we had for the vaccine. We've taken a lot of time to get through this first part of the show.
Yeah, it's a long show. You're welcome, folks.
Yeah, we'll take a break here, and we got some politics stuff and some Satan stuff after.
Yeah.
Some Satan stuff.
Let's take a break, baby. Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break and thank some of our producers, look at some art, have a good time. But stick around because after the break, we've got our politics section. Going to be talking about the many bloodsuckers. Going to get the lowdown on the Biden dog, Major Biden.
Rough.
It's rough. Let's see, what else do we have here? We got children stuck on the border. We've got some China news. We've got some AI stuff, lots of important stuff. And then we've got a whole Satanist section. You're going to want to get updated. We like to keep an eye on these Satanists, so we'll see what they're up to at the end of the show as well. So don't go anywhere. But first, we want to take a second, thank some of our producers. You may have noticed that there are no ad reads on this show. There is no affiliate codes. We take exactly zero corporate money, and that includes YouTube monetization, Twitch partnerships, nothing like that, baby. Because as Adam Curry said, every corporate sponsorship is a form of censorship. That's right. And as the nephew of Freud said, Edward Bernays, the father of advertising in the mid-20th century, was talking about how advertising is brainwashing and how the common man begs for the elites to create their worldview and how advertising is the way to do that. So, of course, advertising is easier than ever now for content creators online. And you know what? I'm not going to tell anybody how to live their life, but it was a while back, Gons, we decided that if we were to try to monetize this podcast with advertising, nobody could trust us. We wouldn't trust us. You have major podcasts now, not just podcasts, but major mainstream news outlets deciding that advertising is a hindrance. It becomes a huge problem. Now, of course, many mainstream outlets are sticking with it, baby. We got to advertise those that big pharma. That's how we keep the bills paid. But not here, folks. No corporate money whatsoever. In fact, we are entirely funded not by some shadowy elite group of people trying to message to the world their own worldview, but instead by the listeners just like you. And when a listener takes the step to become a supporter of the show, they are no longer listeners. Indeed, they are producers. And that's because this is the real world, baby. This ain't no make-believe internet time. This is the real world. If you pay money to get a piece of media produced, you are not just a generous donor or a charitable person, but you are a producer of the show, because that's just what it is. You can go ahead and put producer of Canary Cry News Talk on your bio, put it on your resume, put it on your LinkedIn, and people have been doing it. It's the real deal. And if anybody asks questions, just give them our email, and we will vouch for you. And so, because we do not treat our listeners like a commodity like the advertisers want us to do, because we don't package up your time and attention and sell it to big corporations for our own personal gain, we take a second and recognize our producers, not just thank them, but recognize them for their service. And everybody out there listening now, make sure to thank your producers today, because they are the reason that the show goes on. And there's a couple ways to become a producer. The first way I'll tell you about is by heading over to patreon.com/CCNT. That's right, CCNT for Canary Cry News Talk. Head on over there, and there's lots of great options to support the show. And I want to thank a couple of our new Patreon producers here, Gons. And I will start by thanking producer Enoch87 Bear.
Enoch87 Bear, thank you.
Thank you very much, producer Enoch. Oh, that doesn't sound good.
That didn't sound good at all. What was that?
Hold on. Oh no.
Do you want me to?
It was not a full disaster.
Okay, good.
So Monty the Fourth here, the new Monty, he loves. So I usually drink my water out of a big jar. It's like oh gosh, now he's on the keyboard. Get out of here. He doesn't quite know the how he's supposed to act.
Oh no, I saw the back end.
Oh no. Oh gosh.
Kitty back end.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to act when I'm doing the show. The other cats know not to get in the way.
Did your cat just type stuff into the dock?
Yes, all those zeros turned somebody's donation into $9 quintillion.
It's code. It's just a bunch of zeros.
Undo. There we go.
Okay.
Oh gosh, where was I? Anyways, so he's been causing trouble today. Oh, my giant water jar with a big straw in it. He just loves this straw. He's spilled my giant jar of water so many times, and it's causing complete chaos in my life.
Nice.
Anyways, thank you, producer Enoch87 Bear. And thank you to our other new Patreon producer James H.
Is that James Harden, the NBA basketball player with the greatest beard of all time?
Yep, you guessed it. Thank you very much, James Harden, for producing the show.
No. Thank you, James H.
Yes.
I don't like James Harden.
What if we just blew up James Harden's spot and he gets canceled?
He would get canceled, but whatever. He's anyway, move on.
So there we go. Sorry, I had to just thank God that my giant water jar did not spill all over my computer. Next. Now, there you go. Thank you to our Patreon producers. Now, here's the thing. You don't got to use Patreon. A lot of people don't like Patreon. That's okay. We support you. That's why we have canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
Sorry, I had to grunt to get to the button.
Yeah, the physical pain that it seemed to have caused me to play that jingle. canarycryradio.com/support is a great place to become a producer of the show. Lots of literature there. You can learn about the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. And we also have easier PayPal options to become a producer of the show. First of all, you can become a monthly producer, which we appreciate so much. all of our monthly producers who lay down a foundation of support for the show every month. We appreciate you. We couldn't do the show without you. But you can also make a one-time producership in any amount if commitment is not your thing. And our first, who's our first PayPal producer here?
It is producer Nick K.
Thank you very much, producer Nick.
And he's coming in with the $20.21. He says, wish I could send more money, but hey, keep me in your prayers and possibly I'll be blessed more financially and can contribute more in the future. Much love, Nick K, a.k.a. Gollum.
Oh, this was the Gollum guy.
My precious basils and ganses.
I love it. I love it. So
thank you very much, producer Nick. What was I going to say? Oh, regarding the note here, keep me in your prayers and possibly I'll be blessed more financially and can contribute more in the future. That's very sweet. Thank you very much for that. And we actually do pray for our producers and that they'd be blessed for, supporting the show. I sincerely believe that, and we have the Canary Cry prayer group. You know what? We have not heard from the Canary Cry prayer group recently. I hope they're doing okay. But they pray for you as well, producers. So there you go. Just put that out there.
Yep, there you go. Next up, we have producer Jacquelyn P.
Thank you very much, producer Jacquelyn P. for the pocket full of sevens.
That's right. Next, producer Stephen S.
Thank you very much, producer Stephen S. coming in with the 33 Illuminati handler donation.
Oh,
producership.
Is that Steven Spielberg?
Yes.
Called you out.
Yes.
Called you out.
Got him.
Next, thank you, producer Stephen S. Next up, producer Christopher G.
Thank you very much, Christopher G. Now, here's the thing. Christopher came in 3 times in a row today with 3 separate producerships of $7.77. And with that, it came 3 notes. So we'll just go through the 3 notes.
Do it.
So thank you, producer Christopher. They say, mid last year, I returned to the faith in Christ after many years astray. Oh, that's great news.
Amen.
This time with a great fervor for truth and understanding that I lacked in the past. Discovering your work soon after has been one of the countless blessings I thank God for. The convergence of world news and biblical context has played a major role in the development of my faith. I appreciate that you're skeptical but not unreasonable, willing to be corrected on things you aren't entirely sure of. I pray the Lord keeps you. Thank you very much. And that shows a lot of intelligence for appreciating those things. One question. I've been trying to find the episode with Biden getting his first jab and the glitch in the video as it enters his arm. MSN reports it happening on 12/21, but I can't find it on CCNT 279, which we did on 12/21, or 280, which was 12/23. Help, please. No Mandela effects. So, yeah. Do you know off the top of your head which episode?
I'm trying to do a quick search here.
Yeah, that was crazy. And for those who don't remember, we showed it on the video section of the show where Biden got his jab live on air. And in the live feed, the broadcast live feed, it cuts out right before the needle enters his arm. And it's actual dropped frames in the live feed. It was not like a technical online little glitch thingy. This was in the feed that they were producing. And it's very strange. Yes, there indeed is no actual video evidence that a needle entered Biden's arm.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up here. I'm seeing if I can find it.
Yeah, we might need to get some producers on that and get back to them. So, or maybe the powers that be on YouTube or whatever went in there and snipped it out.
Oh, we did get an episode deleted recently, so maybe that was the one. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He lines it up with the timing of the date of his jabbing. So I don't know.
Well, we'll
Looks
get back
like
to
you. Put
you.
a lot of work into trying to find it. If any producers find that episode or are able to find that moment, go ahead and send that to canarycryradio@protonmail.com, and we'll pass that on. We'll try to mention it if it comes to us.
Cool. So we will get back to you. Thank you so much for your support, producer Christopher G. Next up,
we'll circle back on that one.
Well, yeah, we'll circle back. Next up, we have producer Saul.
Thank you very much, producer Saul.
And lastly, on the PayPal, producer Shield Labs.
Woo! Thank you very much, producer Shield Labs.
And that is it for the producers on PayPal. You know, PayPal, we might be moving on from PayPal in the near future too. There's a lot of
Yeah, you never know. Hold on. Producer Shield Labs had a note here.
Oh, okay.
Let me just scan it, make sure it's okay to read. Yep. Oh, yeah. Okay. So producer Shield Labs says, hey, just thought I'd mention, since you've been on this Marvel kick lately, please check out my Instagram @Shield Labs. I actually happen to make handmade Marvel movie prop replicas. And other cool stuff full time for a living. Wow. That is so cool. P.S. Would very much like to come up with something cool for Canary Cry giveaway. Ooh. God bless you guys. Oh, God bless you, Shield Labs. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. @Shield Labs on Instagram. So there you go. Marvel fans out there, you can support a fellow Canarian doing something very cool and get your Captain America shield at the same time. No, don't get a Captain America shield. He's lame. Get an Iron Man helmet.
He's
a Thor's hammer. Ooh. Okay. All right, I'm done. Thank you very much, Shield Labs, and I'm looking at your stuff now. Really good work, actually.
Cool. Yeah, we got very talented people as producers.
Yeah.
Speaking of the talent, that's another way you can support the show is with your time and talent. And we ask you to send jingles or make artwork. And we actually had somebody send us an ISO from, I think, let me pull up the note. I had it on me. It's from producer Sergei. He said he got it from an audio book that he was listening to. Here's the ISO.
Morning. Excuse me. Good afternoon, Basil. How's the weather in London? Cold, wet, and miserable. Thought I might come over to your side of the pond and get some sun.
I'm wondering what Sergei was listening to.
Probably Sherlock Holmes.
Is that Sherlock Holmes?
Nope. I was mixing up Sherlock Holmes with the Great Mouse Detective. So I don't know. That sounds fancy and British.
Yes. So thank you for that, producer Sergei, for the ISO. It's always good when you hear a little Basil clip. Remember that robot Basil that on that whatever? I don't even remember the name of the show.
I don't remember.
But his little robot assistant was named Basil, and there's a little ISO of him going, "Can't take it right now, Basil." I would pull it up if I had the time, but I will not do it now. So again, thank you, producer Sergei. Keep sending us ISOs or jingles that are show related. We appreciate those. It is content for the show. And we want to present to our audience some art by some producers as well.
One art, please.
And this first one is by producer Allie. And it is a nod to Ciara Lauren in the Canary Cry community, whose picture has become a recurring meme theme this month. Both Ciara and Casey Marian asked her to draw the meme picture, and when we saw the basketball dunk video Monday, that seemed like the perfect event for Ciara to be befuddled by. At least Basil's googly eyes are still fixed on the event approvingly. So...
Yeah, I have seen this. Producer Ciara's profile picture on the Canary Cry .community. Go check it out. It's a very, I don't even know how to describe it. She's very befuddled, yes. And this is great work, Allie. For those who are just listening, I can describe it here. It's referring to that shot of the slam dunk competition that happened recently. And of course, there was no live viewers, but they had a giant screen filled with people watching on Zoom. And of course, my giant googly eyes, again, it wasn't me, folks, but they were paying homage to the giant googly eyes that were right there on screen watching the contest. But Allie has so perfectly displayed producer Ciara with a befuddled look also on the screen there. So thank you very much, Allie, and thank you very much, producer Ciara.
And there's a a picture of the actual drawing, the origin of the meme in the that I'm showing on screen here. So
okay,
you can very good, Allie. You know, good. Uncanny. Okay, so next up we have a rebus. We now know what it's called. It's called a rebus.
Yes, there is some dispute from producer Mike B here. He kept calling them I Spies, but they're not I Spies. They're like picture math, you know? Yeah, one picture plus another picture equals something. And I got to say, producer Mike B, this one really stumped Gons and I for a while.
A little bit, yeah. We got it, though.
We ended up getting it. And for those who are listening, there's 4 pictures in a row here. One is a picture, it looks like a catacomb or a crypt or something like that. Then the next picture is a big toe. Plus, then you've got 2 wires with an arc of electricity going between them. And then a picture of the ocean. And Gons, what did we figure out?
So it's crypt, toe.
Yes.
Current.
Yes,
sea.
So electrical current, and then the ocean sea. Yeah. Yes, so cryptocurrency. You stumped us, Mike B, for a second.
Yeah, I was thinking death, gout. I was like, what is it, a gout reference?
Yeah. I was like, catacomb toe? What is a catacomb toe? Skull coffin gout? Oh, man.
Coffin gout. So very good. Thank you, producer Mike B. And next up, we have one from producer Cynthia. This is actually a picture of producer Cynthia googly hat.
Yes, this is great. It's just a wonderful production here. We've got a producer Cynthia wearing her mask like a good citizen, a big red mask, but it matches her big red hat, baseball cap with a bunch of little fuzzies all over it. Kind of resembles the COVID-19 virus, but each little spike protein has googly eyes on it. So, what a wonderful piece of work! Thank you very much, producer Cynthia.
And next up, we have one from producer Quantum Solace.
Oh, yes. And this was, this brought me back.
It brought me back to my Aqua Teen Hunger Force days.
That's right. Those who watched Aqua Teen Hunger Force, you remember the above ground pool that many scenes took place in. And, of course, we've got Frylock. We've got, oh, man, I'm forgetting their names.
Carl, neighbor Carl.
Yes, Carl's
Meatball,
there.
Or Meatwad, or was it Meatwad?
Meatwad, yes, yeah. Meatwad. What's the Shake's name? I think his name's just Shake, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe someone in the chat remembers. I think it is Shake.
I think it's just Shake. And they're all hanging out in the pool, and Carl is
Master Shake.
Master Shake, thank you. He showed up out of nowhere and has been in my pool for 3 days. And then who else is in the pool? Well, it's good old Gavin Newsom. And Gavin Newsom saying, truly I say to you that I am he who runneth the great land of California. Gavin Newsom. Chicks love me. All restaurants serve me, but they serve no one else because they don't want me to be hungry. And did I mention the chicks love me? And Frylock says, that's it. I'm out. Carl says he won't shut up about how great he is. And Master Shake says, I think he peed in the pool. And, of course, Meatwad is down there doing some Basil and Gons graffiti on the pool. I was going to say, if Meatwad had a speech bubble, I could try to do my Meatwad impression, but I'll have to save that for the next one.
Well, he's writing Canary Cry Radio, but, of course, Meatwad is uneducated. So it looks like Kanagi Cry, spelled C-R-I-E, radio, R-A-I, radio. Yeah.
Thank you for that throwback, producer Quantum Solace.
Very good. And then we have a couple from producer Grace. She's back. And she's
back in action.
Healthy, hopefully. This first one, she says, I don't remember the context of this quote, so hopefully one of you do. And the quote is, maybe it's cryogenic freezing like Captain America. And then, all right, Avenger Boy, I'll put it down. Put it down for a moment. I think that's me coming after you. And then you said I can't. I think you were just arguing about you and your Marvel love right now.
Yeah, what was the cryogenic freezing about? It was in reference to some story. I forget. But thank you very much, producer Grace.
And she has a second one here. Let me see. Oh, here it is. The second one. And this one is love advice for the boys. Let me tell you how it's done. You get some huge googly eyes and you scream about robot chicks. Oh, no, scream about robots. Chicks dig that. That's right.
Yeah, that's true. That's my dating advice to all the tinfoil hat boys out there.
Okay. And then the other
Just
one.
Get some huge googly eyes and scream about robots.
And then another quote. It's the subscription model for the vaccines. The vaccine for the vaccine for the vaccine. That was in reference to...
the subscription model. Oh, it says right there.
Yeah. But it was a story. It was a particular story we reported on last episode.
I think it was about variants and vaccines every month.
Right.
Which, again, to remind everybody, we called that... I think the month that the pandemic started, we were talking about the subscription model vaccines, and lo and behold, that's exactly what's going on.
Right. So there you go. Thank you for all the producers, all the art, all the talent. It's fantastic. It's content for the show. We appreciate it. Quick thank you to Jade Bouncerson for the continued timestamps. And again, if you do want to participate.
I have some info on that.
Okay.
So, yes, if you are out there and you want to help Jade Bouncerson with providing timestamps after the show, which is a very important part of the show, we are so grateful to Jade Bouncerson for that, but we want to make sure that we're not doing any redundant work or that we're doubling up on things. So if you want to join Team Timestamp, which I've just named now, go ahead and email jadebouncerson@gmail.com. That's Jade, Jade, Bouncerson, just how it's spelled, just how it sounds. Bouncer, Bouncer, son, SON, @gmail.com. And we would really love, we're eternally grateful for Jade Bouncerson and all the work she puts into getting the timestamps ready for the post. But it is also a lot of work. And if anybody out there wants to join and help with that, producer Jade Bouncerson is in charge. So go ahead and send an email to jadebouncerson@gmail.com and get involved. And they will let you know how to help. So thank you very much.
Yes. Very much appreciated.
There was one other thing I wanted to mention,
okay,
and it's about what I texted you about yesterday.
What did you text
me about?
The
transcripts.
Oh, yes.
I think we should just throw that out there and see what happens.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I don't know if we got a firm price on what that is. So here's the thing, folks. We have a fun opportunity for people who are looking. Our producers are very generous people, and we could not do the show without them. But we understand a lot of times, if just producing the show, just kind of sending money off can be kind of off-putting or just not as attractive to some people, just because you might not know exactly where your producership goes. I will say, there's a lot of costs associated with the show, and part of those costs we've really wanted for a while now to get transcripts of every episode done, which there's a couple ways to do that. You can either do a sort of AI transcript where just a listening bot will type it all out for you, or you can actually get a human being to do it. Obviously, the human being version is more expensive. The AI bot is pretty cheap. Not very cheap, but pretty cheap, but is horrible. We ran a little tester on one of our episodes, and it's unusable. I mean, the robots apparently are not very good at deciphering between Gon's and I's voice, but also just get completely lost in what we're saying. But then there's a middle option, which is it starts with an AI transcript, and then a human sort of goes through and corrects it. But for a show, as often as we do this show 3 times a week, and how long our shows are, often like 3 hours, it comes out to be somewhere between, what was it? Somewhere between $100 and $200 per episode, right?
Yeah, something like that.
To get those transcripts.
Minimum. If we want to get the better versions of it, it could be even more than that because
I think we figured out that somewhere between 100 and 200 was usable for us.
Right. They charge you by the minute, by the way. It's a very
Oh, great. That's going to incentivize us to keep the shows short. I don't know about this. Well, so here's what I'm thinking. And a lightning bolt struck me yesterday. Because there's a few benefits to having the transcripts available. People can read them. People with hearing problems can still get the show and get the content, which is very important. But also we can post the transcripts on the website, which captures a lot of the SEO, the search engine optimization, which will help, people who are just Googling maybe a phrase that we used in the show. It'll lead a lot more people to the show, which is also very important. If for nothing else than to just get the truth out there. So transcripts are very helpful, but lightning struck, and it occurred to me, Gons, that if we start getting transcripts for the show, we can feed them into an AI and get this AI to create artificially intelligent generated episodes of the show, which I think would be, maybe not the most helpful thing, certainly the most entertaining thing, but would also be right in line with a lot of the things we're exploring and trying to shed light on and prognosticate about. I would be so curious, if we fed a few episodes. I mean, the more episodes we feed in, the better the AI will spit one out. So, if we start getting transcripts and feed them all into an artificial network, a neural network, we could train our own AI to do episodes of the show. Then, it spits out a transcript. We feed that transcript into one of those voice AIs. I'm thinking it would be a really fun project, B, a really fun experiment, C, a really fun, maybe some bonus material, or make it available to the producers, or I don't know. I just think it's a cool idea.
Okay, so what's the takeaway here?
This is where you say, Basil, that is a great idea. I, Gons, am also very excited about this and I'm so excited to hear how we can make this happen.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, we're gonna teach the AI.
We can deep fake Canary Cry News Talk. Somebody's going to do it someday, so we might as well get in on it. Anyways,
I think part of what you were saying to me over the text was that it's the AI is going to learn, but it's also going to be learning about its own demise or its own sort of destruction.
Imagine an AI making a Canary Cry News Talk episode and prognosticating about its own plans for world domination. Maybe learning about Flippy. What would an AI Basil have to say about Flippy? It could be very revealing. I don't know. I think it would be awesome. And then on top of that, because it would be searchable on the internet, it'd be very interesting to see if any quotes from the AI showed up in any news stories.
That is true too. Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like a very cool thing. So I just want to throw it out there. I think we should open up a level, transcript producers. I don't know. We might need to add a button or something. But
be careful. We don't want to call them trans producers. That really,
good point.
Really
good point.
Turn some people off.
Yeah, so this is a job for producers, and if anybody out there wanted something very specific to, produce, you could be a producer of the AI version of Canary Cry News Talk. I think it'd be about it'll be around $200 per episode. So, we might need to get a team of producers together or something. But go ahead and if you want to get involved in that project, you can either go to canarycryradio.com/support and, make a producership there and just put it in your note that you want this to go to the transcript project, the AI, the CCNT AI project, or send an email to us at canarycryradio@protonmail.com or canarycryradio@gmail.com. I don't know. I thought it was a really cool idea, and really, it's more than just making a podcast. I mean, this is research, Gons. We would become researchers. So if you want to get involved with that, let us know, or make some, get in there and produce it and mention it in a note or something. I'm very excited about it. Gons obviously is very excited about it. But it will take producers getting excited about it to make it happen.
Okay. So let's end this, the longest break ever.
Okay.
It's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood. Now suck
Politics.
Your blood.
Okay, all those people complaining about hearing my voice too much, here's some more, because we're talking about Biden's dog. What are you doing listening to this podcast if you don't want to hear me talk? I don't understand. Now, here's the thing, Gons. I don't know if you saw it recently, but Biden's dog, Major Biden, got in trouble. Got in trouble, and because our news media is what it is, it's the only thing people can talk about. We never heard about Trump's dog. We never heard about
Trump didn't have a
like,
dog. That was part of the problem.
Not that we know of, because the news didn't report on it.
Well, that was part of the problem. He's so insensitive. He's not a good person because he doesn't have a dog.
He may have had many dogs, but we would have never known if the news didn't report on it. Anyways, Biden's dog, named Major Biden, is a very important part of the government, apparently, in the United States. And there's a bunch of news stories going around about how Biden's dog bit someone.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. And I read a few stories about it. And you know what happens, if a dog gets like that and bites somebody, especially in a situation that wasn't appropriate to bite somebody. Dogs, they don't last very long. Aggressive dogs, there's very specific actions that are taken against those types of dogs. But not once did any mainstream news story mention the possibility of euthanizing the Biden's dog, except for independent.co.uk. The White House confirmed Joe Biden's cantankerous canine won't face the death penalty after biting and injuring an unfamiliar person. During the daily briefing.
Just real quick, you should mention the headline.
Did I not do that?
I don't think
White House reporters asks if Major Biden will be euthanized. That is the story. A reporter asked a question is the news story. During the daily briefing, a White House reporter asked Press Secretary Jen Psaki to reassure the American public that Major Biden, 3, would not be euthanized as a result of the attack. Notice that. White House reporter asked Press Secretary Jen Psaki to reassure the American public that a violent, bloodthirsty dog would not be put down.
She's
Quote,
like, I'll circle back.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
And there's a couple of different points in this, but I love dogs also. I love all animals. I'm not a dog person. It's known that I own cats. I don't own dogs. I got nothing against dogs, so don't start with me, people.
Okay.
Quote, well, certainly Major Biden is a member of the family, so I can reassure you that, Ms. Psaki
she
said.
I can assure you that.
Ms. Psaki confirmed that the president's youngest dog caused minor injuries to an, quote, unfamiliar person as they were still getting acclimated to their new surroundings and new people. Listen to all this justification. She stopped short, however, of saying whether it was a member of the Secret Service, as previously reported. Quote, Major was surprised by an unfamiliar person and reacted in a way that resulted in a minor injury to the individual, which was handled by the White House medical unit with no further treatment needed, Psaki said. While the two dogs, Major and Champ, were moved to the president's hometown of Delaware, they would return to the White House, quote, soon. So they're not banned from the White House. Now, other reportings of this mentioned how the dogs were sent up to the family farm in Delaware, which led people to wonder if they were euthanized, because, of course, that's what you say to the young ones when an animal passes on. They're living happily on a farm. Yes, Goldie the goldfish now lives on a farm up north, very happy. Quote, it had previously planned already for the dogs to be cared for by family friends in Delaware during Dr. Biden's travels to military bases this week, Ms. Psaki said. So again, Dr. Biden, being Jill Biden, not a doctor. I mean, she has a doctorate. Sorry, Jill was going out of town, so the dogs were already be sending away. So no problem here. While the stay of execution means the two dogs will eventually return to the White House, it's unclear if they'll return to find their walk-in privileges to the Oval Office usurped by a new feline friend. Images from yes, that's right. This is the hard-hitting news. Images from outside the White House showed a dog's bed unceremoniously discarded outside of the building. Independent.co.uk really laid the sauce on this one. Unceremoniously discarded. And there you go. They have a little picture of a dog bed unceremoniously outside the White House next to what looks like a bus cart. Asked about Mr. Biden's pledge to purchase a cat for the White House, Ms. Psaki said she didn't have a readout on the status. We're going to have to circle back on the cat. No, the quote is, I don't have any update on the cat, she said. Quote, but we know the cat will break the internet. Wah, wah. Nobody cares. I don't even care that much about Biden's getting a cat. But there you go. I mean, there's a clip if we wanted to get Jennifer Psaki's voice on the show, if that's something we wanted.
No.
But yeah, so Major Biden attacked a Secret Service agent and is in timeout.
I wish we could just get rid of the first, 6 words of the headline. And we just hear about Biden will be euthanized. Be a much better,
That's
more
funny.
Punchy story.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The cat
There you
takeover, the alien cat thing. True. And now we know it's taken over the White House slowly but surely.
Yes, this is how the extraterrestrials gain access to the Oval Office, as if they didn't already.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so there you go. The hard-hitting news, folks. Gons, what could you possibly have to say that is more important than that?
There's not much I can say. There's a couple other stories.
Yeah, what's the next story?
Well, you set me up so good with that one. Thank you.
I know.
Well, I'm going to go through these very quickly because it's obviously not as good as Major Biden.
Okay.
But this first one, thecounter.org, pandemic doom shopping is clogging up shipping ports. That means a lot of food destined for export is getting stuck. And so there's apparently a lot of food is getting shipped or the export part of the U.S. is stalling. And it says here, U.S. exporters are struggling to send food abroad as the global shipping system strains under unprecedented pandemic demand. Potatoes are piling up in storage, grain is idling in bins, and hay is stacking up on fields due to a confluence of disruptions in the international supply chain. These are the consequences when more and more American agricultural exports arrive at their destinations late, if they even make the journey at all. Quote, I had a lot of product that should have moved a month ago, 2 months ago. It's still on the farm, said Sean Clausen, president of Stokeros Farms in Warden, Washington. A similar situation is unfolding across many agricultural sectors, amounting to what the industry is calling an export crisis that could lead to shrinking markets abroad if backlogs aren't cleared soon. Quote, what's at stake now is our exporters are unable to be dependable suppliers to the global marketplace, said Peter Friedman, executive director of the Agriculture Transportation Coalition, a lobbying group for shippers. In a letter to the Biden administration last week, the coalition attributed these disruptions to, quote, unreasonable, unjust practices by international shipping carriers and called on the federal regulators and Congress to do more to rein the companies in. At the root of this issue, supply chain experts say it is that shipping ports are incredibly congested right now. That's happening for two reasons. First of all, Americans are buying a lot more imported stuff, with demand for everything from personal protective equipment to household items at a record high. On top of that, there are ongoing labor shortages due to pandemic, which means that it's taking a lot longer to unload and load cargo. And we've had some shutdowns at ports, said Jessica Brady, marketing and sales manager at Hillenbrand. And it goes on here, and it's interesting because we didn't hear much about a lot of like the Trump era port stuff was on more of the policies, and this seems to be a lack of any attention to what's going on there. And actually, I found a blog here. This is maritimebulletin.net, and this was published a month ago. So, and I think they anticipated this happening. Biden presidency is good for shipping. What? Question mark. And there's a little quote, excerpt. Conclusion paragraph from
look at the logo
analysis.
On the Maritime Bulletin.
I know it's intense. There's a quote here. Taken as a whole, the container market is doing well, and President Biden's win is a promising sign for sustaining this success. Many of former President Trump's policies lean toward restricting container shipping flows instead of expanding them. President Biden's policies are expected to favor improving relationships with trading partners and U.S. stimulus spending moves that are especially important for the container shipping market in the wake of COVID. With many countries now rolling out vaccination programs, container shipping demand is likely to continue rising as economies recover and lockdowns are eased, keeping important trans-Pacific volumes strong, end quote. And then the blogger gets into it here. Excerpt cited above is a conclusion paragraph of a typical analysis article published recently by a number of industry media. Time and time again, modern quote-unquote experts astound me by their total lack of any deep insight and understanding, and what's worse, by total failure even to try to look deeper than the surface of raw overall statistics. This temporary one-way container flow spike from China to U.S. and other Western nations is taken for granted without any thought given to economy basics. Even a child can't be less curious and ignorant. The modern experts either they're ruined by their education or succumbing to censorship. The way things stand now, quote, pandemic, Great Reset, EU-UN Green Agenda, and especially the fall of USA as a great and independent nation leave no hope, no chance for any cargo demand growth anymore, not in foreseen future. Everything globalists stand for and push, enforce upon us 24/7, 365 is incompatible with shipping growth. Their Great Reset is destroying cargo flows and supply chains. World Economic Forum admits it openly. Even more, WEF propagates it as the only way, quote, to save the planet from climate change and overpopulation. And he goes on, and he's very scathing to the globalist agenda.
Very passionate.
And he's basically saying that it's good for countries like China, like their outflow is great, but it won't be for long, and how a lot of just in general, these policies is not good for any kind of international trade. And he just goes after the concept of Biden not doing anything about it is more of the issue. A lot of times it's with Trump, it was like what he is doing that is the problem. Well, this policy is bad. He's doing this. He says that. But it seems like the criticism coming out for Biden is a lot more on the inaction rather than any kind of action and the just ignoring stuff.
And the economic consequences of the U.S. continuing the inflow of products and importing products and sending money to places like China and other exporters, but not being able to offset that with export dollars is a bit of a concern.
Right. And in relationship to this story about the supply chain and all that, and Biden ignoring certain things, we do have this headline here from CBS News. Record 3,200 migrant children stuck in Border Patrol custody with nearly half held past legal limit.
Yeah, this was an update on the Biden's kids in cages.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
they're not kids in cages. They're temporarily being held in
no, they're
facilities.
Kids in containers. Yeah.
Sounds even worse.
Yeah, and that's it's an interesting backup as well. I mean, there's 3,200 migrant children, and I don't know. There's we could read the story, but I think the main points are, of course, that there's more kids in cages now than there was when Trump was president. But of course, CBS and other mainstream outlets are bending over backwards to give justification why that's the case.
Yeah.
But another opportunity for people who voted for Biden to realize not just that Biden is not their guy, and that, it's not about Trump being the guy. It's about the fact that that's how politics works. If you're getting so fired up about one politician over another, it means you're buying their lies. And Biden is not an exemption from that.
Yep. Well, real quick here, we got some Chinese news.
Welcome to Chinese News!
And this is Reuters.com. Very quickly, Hong Kong's Lam says China's planned electoral changes could prompt another vote delay. Speaking of election meddling, it seems like now that Hong Kong is taken over by the CCP, it seems like their encroaching totalitarianism is still being, opposed a little bit, but part of it is that they're trying to get their way. It says here, Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam said on Monday China's planned changes to the electoral system, denounced by pro-democracy activists, could further delay a vote for the city's legislature, but she was still uncertain on the timing. China's rubber-stamped parliament, the National People's Congress, NPC, is expected to approve on Thursday a resolution that will reduce democratic representation in Hong Kong institutions and vet any candidates for, quote, patriotism. The measure will tweak the size and composition of Hong Kong's legislature and committees, selecting the chief executive further in favor of pro-Beijing figures. The Electoral Committee will also be given powers to select many legislatures. Critics have decried Beijing's move as the end of democratic dreams in the former British colony, whose mini constitution states universal suffrage as its goal. Hong Kong returned to Chinese rule in 1997 with the promise of wide-ranging autonomy and freedoms that pro-democracy activists who brought parts of the city to frequent halts and sometimes violent protests in 2019 say are being whittled away by Communist Party rules in Beijing. China denies interference. I like that. We just deny it. We're not doing anything. Speaking after attending last week's opening of the MPC in Beijing, Lam said the changes, quote, logically mean that a vote for the Legislative Council need to take place after an election for the members of the Electoral Committee, currently scheduled for December. Quote, I'm not yet in position to tell you whether we could adhere to September 5th, 2021 as a day for the general election of the Legislative Council, Lam told reporters. The vote was initially scheduled for September 2020, but delayed for at least a year, with the government citing the coronavirus. Oh, isn't that convenient?
Yeah, it's a good excuse.
So It says down here, a bipartisan group of U.S. Senior lawmakers said it was, quote, deeply concerned by the electoral changes and urged the Biden administration to use tools provided for in legislation of the past 2 years and support Hong Kong people and to work with allies to develop other mechanisms, an apparent call for more sanctions. Yeah, good luck with that. They'll tell Biden about this and he'll be like, hey, come on, man, this is just a different culture, man. Well, who am I to say, man? Hey, Major, don't go over there. They'll eat you. Quote, these revisions will only continue to advance Beijing's ever-tightening grip on Hong Kongers' autonomy, basic freedoms, and fundamental human rights, said a statement from the lawmakers led by Senior Ed Markey, chairman of the Senate East Asia Subcommittee. So, I don't know, just the basic story here is that we knew this was coming, that once Beijing took over Hong Kong, that it was a slow erosion of their rights and freedoms. And the reason why I bring it up is because I sense that perhaps...
Even not so slow, really.
No, well, yeah, true, it's not slow. But just as a model to keep in mind what could take place in the U.S. as, a pro-China Biden has taken office here. And is not... he told two stories. One that says he's going to be hard on China, and another one where he said, hey, come on, man.
They really can't decide. Yeah, cultural differences.
Culture difference, man. Who am I to say? The mountains, the mountain people, the Uyghurs. Well, that was Biden. So anyway, that's the story from Hong Kong there. And one more quick one from this one from the Los Angeles Times. Clearview AI uses your online photos to instantly ID you. That's a problem, lawsuit says. So there's a lawsuit. Weren't you caught up in the Clearview thing when you were in an airport and rushed?
Yeah, it was a very, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Made a lot of sense at the time. It was very deceptive.
Yeah. Like, hey, you'll just do this. You sign up for this and you'll get on the plane faster. And then you're like, sweet, sounds good to me. And then they were like, let us scan your eyeball.
Yeah, they failed to notify you before. They're like, hey, pay $80 and you can skip the line. And then you get in there and they're like, okay, now give us your retinal scan. Now give us your firstborn child. Now give us, it's like, whoa. Well, this was not on the advertisement.
You might be able to sign on to that if it's a civil case here. The plaintiffs, 4 individual civil liberties activists, and the groups Magente and NorCal Resist allege Clearview AI, quote, engages in widespread collection of California residents' images and biometric information without notice or consent. That's basically what happened to you. I mean, you're not necessarily a California resident. You may or may not be. But they basically took your biometric information without your consent or without notice. I mean, I guess it was your consent because you gave it to them, but they
not
pressured
really.
you.
Luckily, I didn't get fully sucked into the system, but it's a thing, man. It's a tricky business. They're not a very straightforward operation.
Well, if anything comes out of this lawsuit, it's that they're going to be upfront and be like, everybody will know that to sign up with these guys, you're going to have to give away some biometric data. Yeah,
it's weird. It came out of nowhere, and it was at a time where it wasn't really known that these bio-identifying companies were in action.
Right. So just keeping that in mind and put it in politics because it is a lawsuit, and it's going to court. We'll see what happens. We'll see what comes out of it, if anything at all. But we got to start wrapping up the show here. Got a couple stories about Satan and Satanists.
He's a Satanist.
Yeah. Is that it?
That's it. Yeah, he's a Satanist.
He's a Satanist.
Entrepreneur.com, the headline, How Ryan Reynolds' marketing agency keeps making viral hits.
I know how.
I did not. Satan.
Demonic power.
That's how.
That's right. The scene opens in hell. We see flames. We hear screams. Then the camera closes in on Satan himself. Big horns, giant pectorals, bright red skin as he slumps over on his throne. His phone buzzes. He glances at the screen. "You're a match," it says. Satan perks up, eyes wide open in amazement. The Dark Lord, it appears, is looking for love on Match. That's Match.com. Cut to a bridge underpass in a park on Earth. There's trees. It is quiet. Satan waits to meet his date. You get it. This is the ad from last year about how Satan and the year 2020 were a perfect match. You remember this?
Mm-hmm.
We played the ad on the show.
We did?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Missed it.
But I did not know it was Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds apparently has the marketing agency that is really cashing in on Satan.
How does that PR go? Or not the PR, but the agent, you know?
Uh-huh.
Hey, Ryan, you're looking for some work, right? And he's like, yeah. How about you play Satan?
Yeah, well, it's very interesting because, again, in America, this is a little funky because, of course, you couldn't take the personification of evil from any other world religion and turn that into a comedic advertising scheme, because, of course, if you talk about I don't even know what the personification of evil is in other world religions. I guess that's part of it. They don't really have a lot. What would Buddhism be? What do they got?
They got physical reality and ego.
The ego, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, there you go. Ryan Reynolds also did the bounce back ads for Peloton. Remember they did the misogynistic Peloton commercials. He was the one who made the bounce back commercial for that got them out of hot water.
Peloton, which was a bunch of stock owned by George Soros, by the way.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Well, he was the one who made it happen in the end. They wouldn't have been able to get off the ground. So what was the angle on this? Was it just the Satan commercial?
Yeah, I'd forgotten that we played it. It's really loose in my memory. You mentioned it. I'm kind of like, I guess, yeah, you're right. We did play it, I think, but definitely slipped my memory because I don't remember.
Yeah, we did, but I didn't know it was Ryan Reynolds. It's all starting to make sense now. We got the Hollywood elite behind it.
Yeah, good job.
Because that was kind of the idea. I mean, when it came out, the feeling was like, whoa, somebody's making a stretch here. It kind of felt like an indie type. I don't know, you get some small production company that wants to make a name for themselves by doing something edgy. But no, it wasn't even that cool. It was just Ryan Reynolds. It was Hollywood royalty that did it.
He's a Satanist.
This next one very quickly here. News24.com. Satanic earrings blamed for causing pupils to hallucinate at KZN school.
What?
Yeah, this article is written very strange because I think it's obviously it's a foreign outlet here. I think it's from South America. Maybe.
Yeah, what's KZN?
It's KwaZulu Natal.
Oh, so African.
Yeah.
Sounds like some sort of African thing.
Earrings that are believed to have been sold or distributed to pupils of Franklin Senior Secondary outside Kokstad in the southern part of KwaZulu Natal are alleged to be the reason behind the hallucinations purportedly caused evil spirits, which attacked pupils during the school's assembly recently.
What?
I know. Teaching and learning at the school has, for the past 2 weeks, been disrupted as some of the pupils jumped and screamed during assembly. The earrings, which are said to have either been sold or given to pupils by herdsmen working at a local farm, have since set tongues wagging around the village as a result of the chain of events that followed. Very colorful language. Franklin principal Bambizaki Aubrey Mubuto confirmed to have also heard the matter of the, quote, satanic earrings. He said the matter was even raised during a school governing body meeting last week. He said it was alleged that some herdsmen are distributing satanic earrings to pupils that make them scream once they remove them from their ears. Quote, we have resorted to counseling the local counselor and the... Consulting the local counselor and the municipality organized different church denominations to come and pray at the school, and you, referring to the reporter, have witnessed some screaming in front of you during prayer, said Mubutho. One of the parents, who asked not to be named, said the earrings are alleged to be coming from Johannesburg and are used by the local herdsmen to seduce pupils into getting into romantic relationships with them. Quote,
these herdsmen sound like some pretty shady characters.
Yeah, once a girl wears them, they cannot be removed because they work as a device to control them. The problem started when the pupils wore them to school, said the parent. She said those who wore the earrings went into a trance that started screaming as if they were hallucinating when they were asked to remove them. Quote, it is a known fact because during screaming, some pupils shout, Mafakin Isisi. That's what it says, folks. I'm not cursing. Put her earring back on.
That's the translation. So they're yelling, put her earring back on.
And once that is done, she becomes normal, the parent said. She also revealed that the earrings are gold-plated and have either a cross sign, heart, or a crescent moon shape. When a child starts screaming, this is a quote, when a child starts screaming, she cannot even borrow an earring from a friend to calm down. She needs her own, said the parent. SGB chairperson Becky Nozoza said some local herdsmen approached the school on Monday to meet the principal because they wanted to cleanse their names, but unfortunately the principal had a meeting at a regional office. Oh, that didn't go well. We are, quote, we are waiting for them to come back anytime so that we can hear their side of the story because this satanic earring is hearsay and people who know more about it are the pupils, he said. Reverend Ayanda Mamfenga said that it's purely Satanism and promised to continue praying if the screaming and hallucinations persist. There you go.
I like the last line.
Earrings.
The local herdsmen could not be reached for comments.
Yeah, they couldn't find them.
We can't get a hold of these herdsmen.
Yeah, so
that's very interesting.
Satanic earrings.
Yeah, okay. Watch out. Don't buy earrings from herdsmen, kids.
Yeah, that's the big lesson here. So that's all we had. We had one more, but it's kind of a rehash. Don't really have to mention it if you don't want to.
It's what is this? The Satanic Church suing over abortion rights in Texas?
Yeah, it alludes back to an episode where we looked at the satanic. Not the Satanic Temple. It's like the Satan. Maybe a member of.
It's either the Church of Satan or the Satanic Temple.
It is the
TST. Satanic Temple.
Yeah, and they were.
Yeah, so this is referring Satan. The headline here is Satanists sue Texas over pro-life laws that hinder the religious ceremony of abortion, which is a listed religious ceremony on the Satanic Temple website. We went through that last year sometime.
Right, and we discovered while we were doing that they were actually raffling off an abortion. That was like the most disturbing part about it.
Yeah, if you make a donation, you're entered into a raffle for a free abortion, which is pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, they're at it again over there in Texas.
Again. Yep, and they have a name. The person has a name. She's known as Ann Doe.
Oh, cool.
It's definitely not her real name. Ann Doe. And complaining that she has rights. She has satanic abortion ritual rights.
Yeah, what is the rituals performed prior to an abortion in order to help its membership cast off guilt, shame, and mental discomfort that the member may be experiencing. Yeah, we went through that
We went through the whole thing, yeah. That's why I wanted to bring it up, just because it's something we've reported on before, and there they are again, going after specifically Texas here.
So the lawsuit challenges 4 elements of the Texas abortion law. 1, a requirement to have a sonogram prior to the abortion. 2, a requirement that the pregnant woman is offered a chance to see the sonogram. 3, a requirement that the doctor or nurse describe the sonogram results to the woman. And 4, a mandatory waiting period between the sonogram and the abortion.
Basically, they don't want the people who... the Satanists to have to deal with that to get the abortion, like actually physically see the child.
Yeah, well, the interesting part about it is that it's not even that it's not allowed. It's not even that, they're not being hindered from getting abortions at all. They're just, the laws right now require that, they take a picture of the baby. You look at the baby, and then that's it. You just got to take a picture and look at it, and then you can still get the abortion if you want it. So again, it's kind of like this safe space concept. Like, looking at a picture of my baby makes me feel unsafe.
It's going to trigger me.
I shouldn't have to do it.
It might change my mind. It interferes with my ritual. Whatever. That's nonsense.
Oh yeah, $signs remembers. It's the mirror affirmations. Yeah, this whole thing where you look in the mirror and go through this whole hullabaloo was the ritual before the abortion there. Yeah, it's so interesting. Even in the context of the bodily autonomy argument for the pro-abortion side of things. These complaints are just so minuscule and seem so nitpicky and, I don't know, useless. I don't know. Like, I guess I can't fully put myself into the understanding of a pro-abortion person, because I'm pretty hardline on that. Just doesn't make much sense how somebody wouldn't be. But yeah, you already got the ability to do it. You're allowed to do it. Do your thing, but you just don't want to look at the baby because that ruins your just ruins it for you somehow. It's just so weird. It's just how the whole culture, especially when it comes to especially when it comes to abortion law, but when it comes to a lot of things in the U.S., it's no longer about reasonable things. They're fighting against such seemingly insignificant parts of the law. But I guess, I guess they already basically got what they want, but they just want to keep chiseling it down to where it's just as easy as walking into a gas station or something.
And melt those babies into candles.
That's what those
what it
Satanists
reminds
do.
me of? Kind of reminds me of in Europe. In Europe especially, they got to put, when you buy cigarettes or tobacco products, on the package of the tobacco product is a picture of like a disease that you can get from smoking cigarettes. It's like a picture of lung cancer, or a picture of mouth cancer or something.
Right.
The interesting thing about that is the data shows after they started doing that, smoking actually went up. After they made it so you had
self-loathe or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's this weird like death wish, this secret death drive that people have when they had to look at a picture of what could happen if they smoked. They started smoking more.
Yeah. Well, I know you can't relate to the pro-life not pro-life, pro-choice satanic temple people.
I don't even call it pro-choice. I mean, that's just straight up pro-abortion.
Yeah, pro-abortion. But hey, one day they'll just plug a thing right into your brain and you can empathy your way to understanding what they're going
yes. If only I could have a cybernetic implant to make me empathetic to the Satanists. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all we got for today, Gons.
Yeah, we need to wrap it up here. We went very long today, seems like.
Yeah. What are we looking at? Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Almost 3.5 hours. Okay. We got to get out of here. All right, folks. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We'll be circling back on Friday, the 12th. of March. So make sure to put it on your calendar. And if you haven't done it yet, make sure to like, subscribe, bell button, and all.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
That's right. Make sure you have those notifications on. That seems to, we've been getting complaints about that. People's notifications seem to keep getting turned off. So you want to double check that for yourself there. And we will see you on Friday, March 12th. Oh man, this month, like all the months now, just keeps speeding on by. And I want to thank all of our producers for this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Sorry, this cat is attacking me. Oh gosh, and I've lost control. There we go. This episode of Canary Cry News Talk, episode 310. And we are thanking producers Enoch 87, James, Nick K, Jacquelyn P, Stephen S, Christopher G, Saul, and Shield Labs. Thank you so much for producing the show today. If you're listening out there, make sure to thank a producer and pray for a producer. We thank you very much. Also, thanks to Jade Bouncerson for the timestamps. If you want to produce the show, maybe producing financially is not in the cards for you, but there's plenty of ways to produce the show. And if you want to help out with the timestamps, you can email jadebouncerson@gmail.com. Get involved with that. Also, thank you to all of our artists and our jingle makers. We could not, the show would not have all the fun content without you. So we appreciate you very much. And if you want to create art or jingles or music for the show, you can get your producer credit by sending that in to canarycryradio@gmail.com or canarycryradio@protonmail.com. It's always a pleasure getting the art and the music in. Make sure it's show related, create it for the show. If there's any, if it's something you've produced before, a lot of times we can get like a content warning or something. So, make some new. Thank you very much. Let's see here. But you can also produce the show or help the show out quite a bit if you just share it with your friends, share it on your social media, leave a rating and review. That's always very important. Head over to Apple Podcasts, search for Canary Cry News Talk, leave a rating and a review. It's very helpful. It's hard to explain just how helpful it is. Convinces those algorithms to share the show out with people who have not heard it before. Also, I will be reading ratings and reviews on Friday. So now's your chance. If you want to get it read on the show, go leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much. And here's the thing, folks. If you're anything like me, you've got friends and family, seemingly normies, who are starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems. And what would be better than getting them hooked in with your favorite podcast? That's right. Share an episode with somebody who is starting to realize that something smells fishy around here. We call it rattling their cages. You can go ahead and do that. If you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Gons, any last words?
Just keep in mind, 2 Timothy 1:7, God gave us not a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind.
Amen, brother. And if you're looking for something specific to produce about the show, remember, we're going to be working on getting those AI transcripts. Awaken the artificially intelligent Basil and Gons. You can help us produce that, get transcripts created for people who are hard of hearing, and make the shows searchable. And go ahead and do that by becoming a producer and send us a little note. Should be fun. Okay, folks. Like I said, we'll be circling back on March 12th. That's this Friday. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
This guy comes to my house. He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies and melt those babies into candles, their skin, and that's supposed to give them more demonic power. And these Satanists came to my house, 5 of them, and threatened my life.
Everybody loves waffles.
Called it.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I wanna shake things up, shake things up. I wanna shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I wanna stir up some controversy. I wanna rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Polly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood.
Politic.
Many bloodsuckers.
Politician. Politicians are politics.
Don't let them drain you all away.
Polly.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood.
Politic.
Many bloodsuckers.
Politician. Politicians are politics.
Don't let them drain you all the way.
Politicians are politics.
Don't let them drain you all the way.
Don't even get me started on bidets, man. Bidets, man. Bidets, man. I'm telling you, you were living the life, man. Bidets, man.
Robot girls, robot boys, all together it's an image. Robot girls, robot boys, all together it's an image. Robot girls, robot boys, all together it's an image. Robot girls, robot boys, all together it's an image. It might seem scary, so frightening. Get ready.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
People, I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo. I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on. People's zoo.